Good afternoon and welcome to Roden for Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. The riders about to be introduced to the crowd for the first of two consecutive visits to the Netherlands. We go to Inrum next time out on the 19th of August. But this is Final 3 from Roden, the mid-season stage here in 2018. At 600 metres, this is the smallest of the circuits this season so far, and that could suit some of the riders who've had less success on the longest circuits of the campaign in Herxheim and most recently in La Réole for Final 2. Roden, the venue for the World Team Championship in 2017. That event was won by Germany ahead of France and the Netherlands, so we should see theoretically riders from those countries performing best here this afternoon. It's the French riders that are out on top in 2018 so far. Dimitri Berger in stunning form every time he gets onto his long track bikes. 10 points clear in the championship, and he will certainly take some beating. Martin Smolinski returns to the lineup after his horror smash in La Réole last time out, but Michael Hertel, who was also involved in that same incident, is withdrawn from the meeting. Two further injuries sustained since then, both in international competition. Jesse Mustonen in the long track challenge last month, and Romano Hummel in the European grass track final last weekend. Hummel, though, is already assured of his place in the 2019 World Championship as an automatic qualifier by finishing among the top 4 in the challenge. He finished as runner-up, in fact, in that meeting. Czech representatives Josef Franz, who won the meeting, and also Martin Malek will be moving through for 2018, as will Berndina, the veteran, finishing in 4th position on that occasion. And when he comes to the start line midway through 2019, he will have reached 60 years of age. Berndina, one of those 4 riders already guaranteed a position in the 2019 World Championship. As for here this afternoon and for the remainder of this campaign, there will be a real focus on the top 7 positions in the World Championship standings overall. Those top 7 guaranteed their positions alongside those 4 automatic qualifiers for the new campaign. For the title itself in 2018, it looks as though we're starting to settle into a 6-rider fight. At the top of the classification, it's Dimitri Berger, 10 points clear of Mathieu Trésarieux, and 18 points clear of Josef Franz, who sits in 3rd position. From there, we've got a tighter pack down to the fringes of the top 8, but 2 of those top 8 riders are withdrawn through injury, and 3 of the top 9, because Romano Hummel, Michael Hertel and Jesse Mustonen, who are 7th, 8th and 9th in the points at the moment, will all be tumbling down the order. So as I said, 2 fights in one most probably ahead of today's event. We're looking at the top 6 in the world, who are the main contenders for the World Championship title, and then we're looking at a separate battle from 10th position down, the riders scrapping for that 7th position overall. You briefly saw the championship standings that I was referring to there, and you can see the big gap behind 6th position Martin Smolinski, and down to 10th position Chris Harris, who is the highest ranked of the riders, not currently inside the top 7, and he's set to benefit, of course, through the absence of Romano Hummel, Michael Hertel and Jesse Mustonen here this afternoon. So we're presenting the riders for today's meeting. As always, they are in a balloted starting order for the meeting, so a random draw determines their starting positions for the event itself. 15 heat races, which will feature all 15 of the riders entered into today's meeting lineup, and then we'll narrow ourselves down. The bottom 5 will go out before the semi-final stages, and the bottom 5 will go out again before the grand final. 15 riders then completing 15 heats. Then we go down to 10 competitors for 2 semi-finals, and down to 5 for the grand final itself. Points are scored in every race throughout the meeting, all added together onto the championship totals, and that's how we determine our World Championship rankings in 2018. Pretty straightforward to follow, but we'll do the permutations on the points as always once we get to the final 2 rounds when things start to become clearer. Riders looking for around about the 10 or so point marker to move through. So we're working our way up through the lineup. We've just been introduced to today's meeting wildcard, which is Dave Meyerink of the Netherlands. And now it's Dimitri Berger, the current championship leader from France, riding the number 96. Berger in fine form at the moment. He is certainly the man to beat. next to be introduced. Another of the riders who was seeded to the World Championship, both he and Dimitri Berger sitting out last season at world level. And that's Martin Smolinski, the number 84 of Germany, the winner of the opening round in 2018. Smolinski dropping back in the points last time out at Final 2, and he's now got work to do. Richard Hall of Great Britain, the number 134, one of a few great British representatives, but of them, only James Shanes has had a strong start to this season so far. Shanes up in 4th position, Richard Hall, by contrast, all the way down in 12th. And one of those riders that I was talking about who no doubt will already have turned his focus to finishing inside the top 7 and securing his place for the 2019 World Championship. Heineck Stickauer of the Czech Republic. He's one of our replacement riders coming into the lineup here today. Stickauer replacing Jesse Mustonen, who crashed out at the challenge meeting at Bielefeld. And Mustonen, the Finn, is out with a broken collarbone. So in comes one of them, the series reserves, Heineck Stickauer. Bernd Diener of Germany, one of those 4 riders separated by just a point arriving in Roden. Brilliant performance and podium at Herxheim for the veteran, the oldest rider in the field at 59 years of age, riding with the number 8 race jacket and race number throughout the season. Chris Harris of Great Britain, like Richard Hall, not a good start to the season for Chris. And he's got a lot of work to do in this 2018 campaign if he aims to match his exploits from last season and earn automatic qualification for 2019. Moving on to one of our reserve riders, coming into the lineup to replace local hero Romano Hummel, it's Max Dilger of Germany. This will be his second appearance of the campaign. He was a wild card for the opening final of the season in Herxheim, and as I said, comes in to replace Romano Hummel. That broken thigh sustained in the European grass track final in France last weekend. The story was that he was set to miss the season, but he's here today, albeit in a wheelchair, to spectate the event, and he's hoping to be back as soon as possible. So watch this space on further news from Romano Hummel. Theo Piper of the Netherlands, the number 115, and Stefan Kat, the number 42 from Germany. Neither of those two riders inside the lead positions in the championship at the moment. Kat in particular has been very disappointing in 2018, it must be said. Well adrift of the semi-final pace in each of the first 2 finals in 2018. James Shanes, I was talking about him earlier on. British representative, 4th in the world at the moment, 5th place at the opening final in Herxheim. We have pretty impressively had 9 different riders in the top 5 positions in the opening 2 finals. Really competitive series in 2018, and we could see some more surprise finalists here in Roden. As I said, 10 of the 14 permanent riders having made the final in the opening 2 rounds. So very competitive field, strong field as well. Slightly weakened, of course, by injury withdrawals. Anders Mellgren there, another of the reserve riders coming in. Anders Mellgren of Sweden. Sweden not often represented in the long track world championship down the years, but Anders Mellgren coming in here this afternoon, having been nominated as one of the reserve riders at the start of the season. Completing our lineup then here today, the reigning world champion. He has got ground to make up in the series standings, but he's currently 2nd in the world, 10 points behind his fellow countrymen, and that's Mathieu Trésarieux. Let's see what he can do here today to try and make back lost ground. As I said, we've got 6 riders in hot pursuit of the current series leader. It's Dimitri Berger out in front as the riders complete just a parade lap and they warm the crowd here this afternoon. Great conditions here in Roden. Very hot and sunny as it has been throughout Europe over the last few weeks or so, but a nice breeze to keep things fresh. Looking forward to some great racing. Hoping that that breeze doesn't take too much out of the track though. It's been heavily watered ahead of the action, and that will settle down no doubt after a few races as the sun continues to bake here in the Netherlands. 2 rounds in succession then to come here in the Netherlands. This is the 3rd final of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Racing about to get underway. Welcome back to Final 3 here in Roden, where we're building up to the first block of races, the first of 5 rounds of heat races here in the Netherlands. before we get underway with race action, an opportunity to hear from a few of the riders. Caught up with them earlier on today after practice. First of all then, let's hear from today's meeting wildcard, Dave Meyerink of the Netherlands. Okay, well, we're joined by today's wildcard. A fantastic opportunity for you in front of your local crowd, Dave.
Yeah, it's nice to be here as a wildcard rider. First GP for me, and I hope it will be a good day.
Is this a track that you have some experience on, or that you know something about that maybe some of the other riders don't know so much?
Yeah, most of the time I like the small tracks, but this is a track we ride 2 times in a year on it, and the track, yeah, I like it. Yeah.
No pressure on you, a young rider. You've only just started on the larger bikes. You obviously raced on the smaller capacity engines before, so as I said, no pressure, just working your way through at the moment.
No, it's it's a day for my experience, not for winning or in the final. I hope I will have fun today and make experience for it.
The sport in the Netherlands is doing really well at the moment. We have 2 rounds in the World Championship in the Netherlands. Obviously, the next one, round number 4, and a couple of strong Dutch riders and a good record in recent years in the World Team Championship. So you're the next generation, really, of riders for the Netherlands.
Yeah, they said that. And this year, Romano has crashed in Tayak 2 weeks ago. It's very sad. I hope he will be in the long track team World Championship. When it's not, we make a good race and hope maybe a podium, and we will see.
Now we're interviewing you as you've just come off the track and you've cleaned yourself down, but you're still coated in material. They've worked hard to water the surface because it's been very dry, well, throughout Europe, frankly, over the last few weeks. That's going to dry off quite quickly, I suspect. Tell us what the track was doing out there for you during practice.
Yeah, they sprayed the track before my first starting practice. My first starting practice was bad. One engine broke and sad. The second starting practice was my start, not so good, but I'm happy with it. And the track, what you said, it's drying fast, and yeah, it will be a nice track today.
Quite a lot of wind as well, and that will probably contribute to the track drying out. You mentioned there your engine. I saw it go. You were at the start line, about to do the practice start, and everyone else went, and you didn't. Where does that leave you mechanically for the rest of the day? Because an engine blowout, presumably, that's not something you can rectify now. Leaves you one bike down, I suppose.
No, we do have another engine in my fan, and we will place it on the bike, and I hope it will be so good as the other engine. Yeah.
Well, you didn't get much of an opportunity for the starting practice, but fingers crossed you're able to make some starts later on and mix it with them. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Dave Meyerink there of the Netherlands, making his first early strides, really, in the Long Track World Championship. He will be the Dutch youth hopeful. Of course, in the absence of Romano Hummel, who fans were optimistic of seeing enjoy some success here today. It will be the young wildcard then, who will be the focus of the home affections here this afternoon. But another young rider really making strides forward in the sport in 2018 is our current series leader from France, Dimitri Berger. Dimitri Berger, the current championship leader, and with a good advantage after the opening 2 rounds. You must be satisfied with a 10-point lead so far.
Yeah, of course. I try to score more points as possible. Every GP. So yeah, 10 points is alright, but it's not enough. I need more.
Different rivals for you in the first 2 rounds. Martin Smolinski was your closest challenger in Germany for the opening round, and then Mathieu fighting back last time out for round 2. Both riders are here today, and both will be trying to lower your colours, so you do have some rivals in this championship for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough race today. Martin is lost some important point in Lariol, and yeah, Mathieu score good few points. So yes, it's closer now. Yes, it's gonna be hard because they two good rider, and today they they're looking good on practice. So yeah.
Important thing for you is that you've kept up your form, because you've raced in the European grass track final and of course come out the winner of that. You're racing in Marmande on Friday, and another meeting where you managed to pick up the win in the latter stages, so you come into this meeting in some very good form indeed.
Yeah, of course, to win a race is always good for confidence and and everything. So yeah, I'm not really satisfied with the practice, so I need to focus on a start, and hope should be right.
This track, it's one that you know from the team's event previously, but it's one that's very different to what we've seen in the first two rounds. The track in Herxheim, of course, is huge, and L'Ariole has an unusual shape. This one is a classic oval, almost like a speedway track, but obviously much larger. How do you see this circuit?
Yes, not easy track to ride and to find a good setup. It's a bit special, so yeah, you need to make a start, because if you don't make it, it's gonna be hard to pass.
And what are we thinking in terms of the weather conditions? And of course the sun is still beating down on us, as it has been throughout the recent weeks. And what kind of racing lines will you have to take to make a pass when the track dries up and things start to go perhaps a little bit dusty?
To be honest, I don't know for this track. I only rode one time, so it's hard to say now. But I hope I don't need to pass. Just be first corner, and should be good.
That sounds like a plan. Good luck.
Thank you.
Three riders make their debut in the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Their first appearances of this 2018 season. Wildcard Dave Meijering, as well as the number 88 Hinek Stickauer, and of course Sweden's Anders Mellgren. We were introducing at the top of the programme the 27-year-old lined up for the Swedish team here last season, and will be lining up now for individual glory for his first ever appearance in the Long Track World Championship at this third final of the 2018 campaign. Let's hear what he had to say earlier on here this afternoon. Anders, the World Long Track Championship, a big opportunity for you to come in and test yourself against the top riders in this discipline.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough meeting, but we'll do the best and try to make some starts and see what happens. So it's going to be fun to ride with the big boys here.
The biggest challenge for you, I suppose, is adapting to all of the different types of circuits. Some very slick, some very rough and bumpy, some grass, some different types of material, track lengths from 550 metres up to 1,000. How have you found that adaptation coming from a speedway background?
Well, I've been struggling big times on the rough tracks, like the bumpy grass tracks. I have a pretty hard time on, but I'm just going to try to ride more and more grass, and get that going as well, because I'm feeling pretty comfortable on this sort of tracks, when it's nice and smooth. But yeah, grass, I need to more practice a bit more.
Compared to the first two tracks of this World Championship calendar, this one resembles Speedway a little bit more, an oval, a more classic shape, and also it looks like a more classic material as well.
Yeah, well, it is like a big Speedway track really, with the shape and everything, and it's nice and smooth. It's not a lot of banking either, so you sort of drift the bike a bit more than normally on long track. So it does remind me on Speedway very much.
As for Sweden, hasn't had a classic record in long track discipline since the mid-1990s, when it changed over to a rounds format. But Sweden's been trying to get back in there in recent years. Representation in the World Team Championship, of course, and you were part of that. So it's sort of on the rise as a discipline in Sweden on a small scale.
Yeah, big time. So coming strong here. So it's still a big learning curve for us, all this with long track, because it's all very new to us, how to set the bikes up and everything. But we have some help, so yeah, we're coming.
I know you've been trying to make it towards the World Championship by doing the qualifiers and the challenge and so on. Hasn't quite worked out for you so far, much to do with the variation in the different circuits that you're meeting, each one for the first time, I suppose.
Yeah, well, Bielefeld was really tough for me, but I think Marianska Lashner was alright, but still a bit rough, a bit too rough for me. But Bielefeld was really tough, so it was really grippy and lots of ruts and stuff. So no, it was a tough meeting.
When it's like that, is it a question of physicality, or is it just the bike setup and getting things exactly right?
I think it is a bit of a mix of it as well. You know, you got to be on the gas as well, and I don't think I had the right setup to be on the gas. You know, and no, I should have done something different. But I tried loads and loads, but nothing seemed to work. But we'll see what happens next time.
And next time is today, really. Today's a different day. An opportunity for you, I suppose, to show the organisers making selections for wildcards and seeded positions and reserve places that you're the person to choose.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a really big meeting, and hopefully I can make some points and make some good gates as well. So
we'll wish you the best of luck for it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. You rejoin us live here in Roden for continued coverage of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship, building up to the opening race of the day here in the Netherlands. Race number 1 will feature Dave Meyerink, Anders Melgren, Max Dilger, Jerome Lespinasse and Martin Smolinski. Smolinski chasing down the current series leader, Dimitri Berger. He's got 19 points to try and make up. The winner of the opening final of the 2018 season in Herxheim failed to pick up a double-figure score last time out in La Réole. As I said earlier, impressively, 9 of the riders have already made it into the final in 2018. Only 1 rider has managed to appear in both finals so far this season, and that's Dimitri Berger, the only rider to have made it into the final 5, both in Herxheim and La Réole. And if he continues that kind of form, it's going to be very difficult for his rivals to peg back large margins. We've seen Berger top the 20-point marker in each of the opening 2 finals in 2018. Mathieu Trésarieux, one of 2 other riders to have hit the 20-point barrier in a single round. Mathieu Trésarieux doing so in La Réole last time out on his way to victory. And Martin Smolinski, the winner of the opening final, picking up 20 points in Herxheim. 2 mechanical failures as well that denied him what probably, or what certainly could have been, a maximum score. Smolinski missing out on that occasion. Smolinski the man to beat here this afternoon. And let's see what the German can do right from heat number 1. He'll be lining up, as I said, in this one in the green helmet colour off the outside start position. Here we go then, heat number 1. Off the inside start position in red, it's Dave Meyerink of the Netherlands, the wild card. Made the step up from 250cc racing for 2017. Had been an FIM medalist at youth level. He's still working his way through the ranks, and as you heard, optimistic of gaining valuable experience, but not necessarily expecting to make further progress here this afternoon. European grass track finalist in 2017, Dave Meyerink goes off the inside start position in red. Gate 2 in blue, it's Anders Melgren making his debut in the FIM Long Track World Championship. Made it through to the challenge both last year and earlier this year, but has finished 14th and 17th in his 2 attempts to qualify. So well adrift of qualification at this stage of his career in the discipline. This will be a good opportunity for him to gain experience at this level. Gate 3 in white, it's Max Dilger of Germany, making his 2nd World Championship appearance of this season in his 2nd World Championship season. Celebrated his 29th birthday yesterday, Max Dilger, converting over from Speedway to the Long Track World Championship. The wildcard from the opening round in Herxheim picked up 10 points and a place in the semi-finals. He should be among the semi-final contenders here today. Gate 4 in yellow, it's Jerome Lespinasse, joint with Stefan Kapp, the lowest score of the season so far. Just 5 points from 10 rides from Jerome Lespinasse. Slightly weaker lineup here today with a few injuries. He'll be hoping to capitalise. Martin Smolinski completes the lineup off the outside gate in green. The clear pre-race favourite. In this type of lineup, he needs to be banging in the 4 race points. Heat number 1 gets underway. Extremely fast start from the outside from Martin Smolinski. Wasn't a bad one from Meyerink either, but he was a bit tentative into turn number 1. He drops back to 4th. Around the outside coming off turn number 2, side by side in the battle for 2nd position. Dilger's managed to hold on ahead of Jérôme Lespinasse. I thought the Frenchman had the pace coming off turn number 2, but he wasn't able to use it. And now he's under some pressure from Meyerink, who's running the wide outside line, even in the opening race of the day, looking for a way to overtake on the outside run. He's getting a smooth run actually, and here goes the Dutchman coming off turn number 2. The home fans will be pleased with this. Good effort in the battle for 3rd position. Lespinasse has made a decent start, but he's going backwards. Meyerink comes soaring around the outside of the pits turn, should be able to pick him off for P3, and now he's going to go after 2nd place because Dilger, like Lespinasse, is riding conservative, and Meyerink is looking set to take advantage. Here he goes! The Dutchman all the way around the outside on turn number 2, and it's 2 moves in 2 laps. Flying start to this meeting for the wildcard in his long track World Championship debut for 2018. Dave Meyerink, he's still under pressure into the final lap. Dilger coming back at him on the inside, as close as you like to the inside, kicks up dust from the front wheel on the white line. Meyerink soars back around. Will he go defensive on the final 2 turns and cover the inside line? He runs in certainly narrower than he had been, but he runs it wide coming off turn number 4. He's going to hold on nonetheless. That is an excellent ride from the wildcard. Certainly justifying his inclusion in this meeting. 2 riders who've already appeared in 2018, Dilger and Lespinasse, and he just soared around the outside line of them. Martin Smolinski was the comfortable pre-race favourite and the comfortable race winner as well. Excellent race there in heat number 1. Great race to start with. Smolinski brilliant from the outside, but the battle was over 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Meyerink coming around Lespinasse, then coming around Dilger. Dilger put in a good stint on the inside line, trying to hold his rival back. Here we'll see it again. Smolinski from gate number 5, so comfortable on the outside line. He was first away and had a bike lengths advantage over Jérôme Lespinasse. Lespinasse had made a decent start as well, but the focus there was on Dave Meyerink. He had actually made a decent jump off gate number 1, but as they came down to the first turn, he was kind of crowded out of it. It's not a wide entry into turn 1. And Meyerink then battling back on the outside line. So we've already demonstrated that there's more than one racing line here in Roden. There was some good racing here last season in the World Team Championship, and we're hoping for more in 2018. Next up then is heat number 2. James Shanes of Great Britain goes off the inside start position in red here, very much in the mix for a place on the championship podium after the opening 2 rounds. 2 double-figure scores to his name, just 1 race victory in 2018 so far. Gate 2 in blue. Hinek Stikauer of the Czech Republic comes in to replace Jesse Mustonen. The Finn crashed out at the challenge meeting at Bielefeld. He's out with a broken collarbone. Gate number 3 in the white helmet colour here will be Chris Harris of Great Britain, former British Speedway champion, 35-year-old, recently signed for the prestigious Pool Pirates side in the Speedway Premiership in Great Britain. But he hasn't had a great season so far on shale or indeed in this long track World Championship. Chris Harris goes off gate 3 in white here. Gate number 4 in the yellow helmet colour, it's Mathieu Trésarier, the reigning world champion. Just waiting for a test of the starting tapes here, because there were some debates as to whether they went up evenly in heat number 1.
That look better, Thierry.
So we are now getting underway. Referee is satisfied that the starting tapes, having been tested, are suitable for racing. Can complete the lineup then. Off gate number 4, Mathieu Trésarier in the yellow helmet colour. And off the wide outside, up against the outer limits of the circuit in green, is Josef Frans. 3rd in the series standings, arriving here in the Netherlands. He's been consistent this year. Only 2 race wins from 13 rides so far, though. If he wants to get back into contention for the championship, he needs to start taking checkered flags first. Gate number 5 working well for Martin Smolinski in heat number 1. Smolinski made an absolute flyer from gate number 5. France will be hoping to do the same. Not easy to get across 4 riders down into the first turn here, although it is one of the narrower long tracks we'll race at this season, and one of the shorter ones as well at 600 metres. Loads of movement there off gate 3 and gate 4 as well, but both riders have penalised themselves. They're down to the first turn. Tresario's in the mix. Around the outside of him comes the rider in green, Josef France, slotting between 2, Heineck Stickauer. He moves through into second position. It's a check 1-2. Who would have predicted that before the tapes went up? Harris has pulled up out at the back. Disaster for him. But here comes Matteo Tresario. And he comes soaring around the outside of 2 riders to go from 4th to 2nd. Shanes then makes a move on the inside of Stickauer on turn 1 and on the outside of Tresario off turn 2. Brilliant racing in this meeting so far. Goodness me, what's it going to be like come the semi-finals? This meeting has got off to an absolutely cracking start. And so have the 2 riders off the outside gates in the opening 2 race of the day. Smolinski away well in Heat 1. France brilliant here in Heat 2. Gate 5 appears to be the place to be in the opening round of races. And Bernardino, who's been making some electric starts in 2018, will be going off it next in Heat 3. Tresario trying the outside line as they come in now to the final lap. He is gaining ground on James Shanes. The outside is a good line, but if you get your nose chopped off going into the turns, or indeed you get filled in as Matteo Tresario did there, then you go backwards. So it's the riskier of the 2 racing lines as well. Shanes with a super move there, down the inside of Heineck Stickauer, and then around the outside of Matteo Tresario, goes from 4th to 2nd to pick up the 3 race points. More good long track racing in heat number 2. Josef France taking the checkered flag there. James Shanes getting 2nd position. Matteo Tresario gets 3rd, and Heineck Stickauer, who made a decent fist to the first lap or so there, ends up scoring just a single point. Just hearing through my headpiece that Chris Harris has received a warning there for moving before the tapes went up in heat number 2. No doubt about it, the rider in white was moving. Lots of edginess off gates 3 and 4 there, and it's Harris who eventually gets the warning. Josef France, though, unhindered by that, makes a super start off gate number 5, powers away, and away for the 4 race points. And once again, the battle there over 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions. Great ride from James Shanes, because I thought that Tresario had got the measure of the Brit. Tresario came around the outside and took 2nd place away, and he should have been able to hold on to it, but he wasn't. Shanes came diving down the inside of Heineck Stickauer, moved the check out of the way, and he went from 2nd to 4th. And Shanes completed his move from 4th to 2nd, down the inside of the check, around the outside of the reigning champion. Great ride from James Shanes in heat number 2. Now on to heat 3. We'll see Dimitri Berger going off the inside in the red helmet colour, the current championship leader. Has an opportunity to further extend his leading margin here, bearing in mind that Matteo Tresario is his closest rival in the series standings. So Berger going off gate 1 in the red helmet colour. Gate 2 in blue, it's Stefan Kat. It's been a disastrous start to this season for him. Scored just 2 points at the European grass track final last weekend, not showing too many signs of any possible recovery to form. Stefan Kat, who was 5th in the world last season, so far back from the top 8, that he may already be thinking about trying to impress for a seeded position in 2019, because automatic qualification starting to look unlikely for him. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, just turning away from the start line now. It's Theo Piper, who missed out on the semi-finals in galling fashion through countback in L'Aréole, and fell only 2 points short in Herxheim as well. He'll be desperate to make the top 10 this afternoon. Gate 4 in yellow, Richard Hall. Similarly, he's been on the fringes of the semi-final places in the opening 2 rounds. He'll be optimistic here today, and the favoured gate 5 position is with Bernd Diener. Can the German veteran capitalise on it? Heat number 3 gets underway. Good start from Diener, but not good enough. He bogs down in the run down to the first turn. Berger hooks it up. Richard Hall, I thought, had made a good start as well, but he's moved aside by Theo Piper. Out at the back, Bernd Diener quickly dispatches Stefan Kat. Germany, who for so long dominated long track world championship competition, have got 2 representatives in the last 2 places in this race. Berger it is who leads it. Piper has 2nd. Hall is going to move down the inside of him into turn number 1 and now moves up to block him. That's a good move from Richard Hall. Piper's got the cut back off turn 2, has the momentum but can't carry it past Hall. So Richard Hall and Theo Piper, I said, were in similar positions in the World Championship. They've been battling over the fringe places in the semi-finals this year. Well, there they are going nose to tail once again, this time on track as Hall manages to get past Theo Piper for second place, but they're nowhere compared to Berger. Dina will be disappointed. The two riders before him winning off that outside gate 5, and he didn't make best use of it. The veteran tends to prefer the massive 1,000-metre circuits to the smaller ovals, and this a real perfect oval shape. 600 metres though, one of the smaller ones we visited in 2018, and certainly the smallest of the opening 3 rounds. Hall going deep on the final 2 turns, but he's not close enough to Dimitri Berger, who takes the checkered flag in heat number 3. Hall over the line for second place. Theo Piper gets third. Single point for Bernd Diener, and Stefan Katt out at the back there. Straightforward race win there for Dimitri Berger then. Richard Hall, a combative performance to overhaul Theo Piper for second position. Riders making their way back to pit lane now. Berger with 4 points banged in, extends his championship lead by another 2 points over Mathieu Trésarieux. Berger then already had a 10-point series lead. That is now up to 12. Good start to the meeting for Dimitri Berger then. Straightforward winner from gate number 1. Had the power in the run down to the first turn. The actual launch had probably been won by Diener, but he just went nowhere in the drag race down to the first turn. And Berger taking advantage then of the inside to shuffle up the pack. Stefan Katt was overtaken coming off the second bend. His miserable start to 2018 continues. Bernd Diener coming through for the single point. And from there, the race was over second position. Hall managing to reel in and pass Theo Piper for second place. So the opening round of heat races here in Roden. And we have 3 race winners from 3 different nationalities. Martin Smolinski of Germany, the winner of heat number 1. Josef Franz of the Czech Republic, the winner of heat number 2. And Dimitri Berger, the winner of heat number 3. And a brilliant effort from each of those 3 riders to lead the standings after the opening round here in the Netherlands.
Das war ein Gefühl, die so gut hergerichtet ist wie die Bahn in Erinnerung. Ich finde, das ist eine ganz schöne Bahn.
Perfect shape for a grass track.
James Shanes after an excellent first ride. Probably not the way you wanted to do it, not making the best fist of the opening lap, but after that, 2 great moves, inside on one, outside on the other. The best ride of the first round.
Yeah, it definitely didn't go to plan at all. Made a complete hash of gate 1, but you know, I got clamped down in the first couple of corners, but managed to sort of work my way through. So you know, I'm feeling confident. I had plenty of speed in that ride, so it's looking. I've got dreaded gate 3 now, so if I can do my best off that one.
Certainly the best of the British riders so far in 2018. Things just haven't clicked for the other guys so far, but you've looked consistent. Maybe not as many race wins or you know, appearances on the podium as you might have liked, but you've been consistent and scoring in every race, and that's important in the context of a series overall.
Yeah, that's what we said at the end of last year. I had a couple of bad rounds that really put me down the order. So this year's aim is to try and keep consistent, and you know, the way you win the series is by winning on your worst round. So hopefully my worst round is behind me at Lariol, so hopefully I can keep pushing on from now and keep the current form I got going.
Often in track racing, speedway or long track, you see the first 3 races are quiet, and then it starts to really build. The track's been good right from the start here today. We've seen loads of passing in those first 3 races of the day.
Yeah, they've done amazing trying to keep the water on the track with the weather they've had over here. They've made a brilliant little sprinkler system. So you know, hopefully the dust stays down and the racing stays good. So we're putting on a good little show for everyone.
As for you personally, well, I know very well you were hobbling around both before and after the last round. You had injury to one leg, and then by the time you left, you had an injury to the other. Where are you in terms of fitness?
I'm a lot better than I was after L'Oreal. You know, I still got a couple of little niggling injuries, but this late in the year, it's, you know, riding so much, it's quite understandable having a few injuries. But working hard in, like, you know, in the office at home, trying to keep back the fitness there.
And you've dropped your European Grass Track Championship title this year after 2 seasons as the champion. Difficult competition, of course, but now the target is to focus on this one, the World Championship itself.
Yeah, you know, trying to win it tight was always going to be difficult. You know, Dimitri's on it, and tight's a typical French track, so you know, to walk away 4th was the goal met. So I can't complain about that. You know, the goal is amazingly is to try and win the World Series, or at least try and step up onto the podium. That's the main goal.
And showing plenty of consistency when you're doing those meetings, open meetings as well. You're showing the consistency that is all important at this level.
Yeah, that's what I've worked hard on over the winter, to try and be consistent everywhere, whether it's speedway, grass track, open meetings, whatever. So, you know, we've worked hard during the winter. I can't thank the team around me enough to put up with me through the hard times there.
Well, well done to you for that first effort, and thank you for the entertainment in your first ride. Perhaps you'll do the next few from the start and save a few hearts back in the UK.
I'll tell that, Mum wants me to do that.
Good luck with it.
Yeah, thank you.
And welcome to Roden for Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. 3 very competitive opening races, plenty of overtaking and breakneck speeds being shown. I tell you what, over a 600-metre oval, to be banging in times around the 62-second mark is pretty impressive indeed. So the last winning time, the fastest of the first 3, set by Dimitri Berger, tied as the meeting leader with Josef Franz and Martin Smolinski. Very early days, of course, but gate number 5 has been working well, so that's one to watch. And as you heard in my interview there with James Shanes, gate number 3 not working well at all by contrast, and hopefully that won't play too much on his mind when he comes out onto track for heat number 6. The rider with that gate here for heat 4, the first of the round 2 heat races, is Mathieu Trésarieux, and the last thing he needs is disadvantages at the moment, because he's already got a 12-point margin to make up on the series leader Dimitri Berger, the fastest rider of the day so far. Off the inside gate for this one then, heat number 4, it's Anders Mellgren. Lined up for the Swedish team here last season in the World Team Championship. He does have experience of this track. Scored a creditable 12 points on that occasion as well. Sweden not too far adrift of the medal places, much unexpectedly, here in Roden last season. Mellgren then failed to score first time out. He goes off gate 1. Chris Harris also failed to score in his opening ride. He retired from it, in fact. He goes off gate 2 this time in the blue helmet colour. Gate 3 in white, it's Mathieu Trésarieux of France. As I said, the reigning world champion, who performed well for the French team here last season. Winner and top scorer at round 2 in France. Finished as low as 7th though in Herxheim, and that's the reason he has ground to make up in the context of the series overall. Gate 4 in yellow, Dave Meyerink of the Netherlands. Certainly drew the crowd up after his effort in his opening ride, heat number 1, with 3 race points on the board. Already starting to think about battling towards a semi-final place now, no doubt. Good outside run in his first ride. And Richard Hall, also a 3-point scorer in his opening ride, completes the lineup here off gate number 5. So we're guaranteed a new race winner in this meeting from heat number 4. Which of these 5 riders will it be? Edginess on the line. Mathieu Trésarieux capitalises on it off gate number 3. He's made the start, through into second place. The rider in yellow, Dave Meyerink. Around the outside of him now comes Richard Hall. Battle for second place. Hall, though, breezes it. Through he comes. Fight now is over 3rd position. The top 2 have broken away. Anders Mellgren sits 4th. Meyerink tries the outside line. He gets completely filled in by Richard Hall. Meyerink, though, showing some confidence, as he did last time out. He's more than happy to run up wide and try and build up his speed. He's got to be careful, though. He's making himself vulnerable at the moment to Anders Mellgren on the inside. The race is over 3rd and 4th positions. Mellgren pursuing down the back straight, trying the inside, and Dave Meyerink running the wider line, but every time he gets covered in the roost of Richard Hall, he seems to go backwards, and Mellgren, creeping around the curb, may have an opportunity to close in. As the race goes on, though, Meyerink is slipping further and further back from Richard Hall's tail of dirt. And that enables him now to break clear of Anders Mellgren, and this one's settled down. Probably the quietest race of the day so far. Final lap. Mathieu Trésorier looking set to become our 4th different race winner here in Roden for this 3rd final in 2018. And Richard Hall keeping up some consistency in the early stages of this meeting. These have got to be the best first 2 rides he's put in all season. 6 points from 2 outings. Trésorier then wins it. Hall over the line in 2nd position. 3rd place going the way of Dave Meyerink, another competitive performance from him. Anders Mellgren with the single point. And Chris Harris, 2 rides and yet to score, and he's come up against the wild card and a reserve there, and Harris has failed to score from 2 rides. He came up against a reserve last time out in heat number 2 as well. So that's a really disastrous start from Chris Harris. If he was up against the top 4 in the championship standings, then we'd probably pardon it. But 2 last places in his first 2 rides in lineups that he should have been able to be competitive. And he's trundling back to the pits now on turn number 3. And is Chris Harris starting to see his place in the Long Track World Championship slide away from him? Disappointing so far here this afternoon, yet to score from 2 rides. Mathieu Trésorier, though, by contrast, off gate number 3. Well, that one was all from the start. The 2 riders off the inside 2 start positions making poor ones. And it was Trésorier then who commanded the inside line off gate number 3. Competitive battle early on between Richard Hall and Dave Meyerink over 2nd place. But it's Hall who gets it. Result of heat number 4. 4 race points for Trésorier, 3 for Richard Hall, 2 for Meyerink, and 1 for Anders Mellgren. Now we move on to heat number 5. Hinek Stikauer goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. The Czech rider, member of the Czech World Team Championship side for each of the last 2 seasons. 31 years of age, from the famous Czech Speedway city, Pardubice. He goes off gate number 1, lining up alongside his fellow countryman, Josef Franz. No better man to try to emulate Josef Franz, the reigning world number 3 in the long track series. 3rd in the series standings as well, coming into the Netherlands. Only dropped 2 points from 6 rides for the Czech Republic in that World Team Championship here last season. So Josef Franz clearly enjoys this circuit. He picked up a race win first time out. He'll be the rider to beat here. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, Jérôme Lespinasse. He was competitive from the start in his opening ride, but went backwards. A single point scored in heat number 1. Gate number 4 is with Martin Smolinski. Like Josef Franz, a winner in round number 1. 2 of the round 1 winners meet up here. Smolinski with points to make up in the series overall. He picked up a maximum for Germany here last season. Well, a paid maximum at least. He wasn't beaten by an opposition nation's rider, as Germany went on to FIM gold in the World Team Championship. Completing lineup in this one, Stefan Katt. Different fortune for a different German. Failed to score in his opening ride. He's been disappointing in 2018. Here we go then, settling down for this one. Heat number 5. Watch for gate 2 and gate 4. Those are the favourites. As the tape drives with another flying start from gate 5, and it's Stefan Katt, but he's got a long way to come from the outside. It's Smolinski who hooks it up on the inside. Here goes Katt all the way around turns 1 and 2, but he just doesn't have the drive. He comes through to 3rd at least, picking off Hinek Stikauer. 2 races in 1 developing here. France is really going after Martin Smolinski. Smolinski's hit the front, France in 2nd, and then a separate race for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Lespinasse has been left by them somewhat now. Stefan Katt occupying 3rd position. I don't think he's done better than a 3rd position in any of his rides this season so far, Stefan Katt. That's the extent of his struggles, but he is going to move above Jérôme Lespinasse in the championship standings. Those 2 battling over last position at the moment. Wouldn't have predicted that from Stefan Katt, the reigning world number 5. He sits 3rd as the front 2 show him the way and show him the pace out in front. He's starting to fall back into the clutches now of Hinek Stikauer ahead of this final lap, but Martin Smolinski is not going to be caught. It's going to be 2 rides and 2 wins for him. But unless Dimitri Berger starts dropping points, Smolinski can't reel any in of that lost ground. Smolinski off turn 2. So much speed over Josef Franz in 2nd that he has started to pull away over the last lap or so. It's going to be Smolinski then for the 4 race points. 2nd over the line is Josef Franz. 3rd is Stefan Katt. and the single point scored by Hinek Stickauer. Jerome Lespinasse just a single point from 2 rides, and his struggles continue. So the result of heat number 5 then is a win from Martin Smolinski ahead of Josef Franz in second. Stefan Katz gets third, and Hinek Stickauer the single point. Well, round number 1 was an absolute firecracker. The 2 races in round 2 so far have been somewhat quieter affairs, and the favourites duly converting in that one heat number 5. Smolinski from gate number 4, Franz from gate number 2, Katz slipping backwards, having initially started well. He went for the outside line on the first 2 turns and managed to come past Hinek Stickauer at least for 3rd position. Here we see it again. Katz looked to have got a good jump, a very good jump in fact. But into the first turn, Smolinski's gone for the inside, and that was obviously the place to be. Covers it off into the first turn, and Smolinski blasts away from there for the 4 race points. Franz second for 3. And Stefan Katz coming off turn number 2 with the momentum from the outside line and a decent start. Comes breezing past Stickauer for the 2 points. So that result moves Martin Smolinski top of the score chart on 8 points. Richard Hall's on 6 after his 2 second place finishes, and Josef Franz moves above him on 7. Dave Meyerink also up there in the top positions on 5 points from 2 rides. That's probably the biggest surprise of the meeting so far, and the home fans will be hoping that he can remain in contention here this afternoon. Martin Smolinski of Germany, the second final for you didn't go the way you planned it to, for sure, ending up in the fence and down on the deck. Great to have you back. First things first, that incident, and obviously a bit of a recovery period for you as well.
Of course, yeah, it was like, you know, it's racing stuff out there. You know, the track is quite bad. Laurel is not the easiest track out there. Even the lights are sometimes not like the FIM rulebook says. We should have 1,000 looks, but I'm not sure. Maybe on some places we not even got 500. You know, so on this place they need to work next year a little bit better because especially in the last turn there's it's dark. Sometimes it can work out there to pass people, but if you know. It's racing out there. On this say I would like to say all the best to Michael Hertel. You know, he got some hand injury. Hopefully he's coming back and also got a fast recovery.
The track was an unusual situation because there was one line right up by the fence, and I think you were searching for that line when you came down. Would you say you're now back to 100% fitness for today's meeting?
Not 100% yet. We still have some pain in the chest. I broke a small, I think it's vertebra 3. I broke a small edge up there, and it's still a little bit swollen there. You know what? We are no football players. You know, we're real mans. You know, so we're even racing and making the sport if you have a little bit of pain.
Well, as an English person, maybe it's better I don't mention the World Cup and those recent results. Better results for the German riders on track today, I'm sure. The challenge for you now is that you've got points to make up in the context of the championship, because Dimitri took advantage, picked up another big score in your absence from the latter stages of that meeting.
That's racing. I mean, he was quite good. I lost a lot of points, you know, but I see it now I'm now the person who will fight against them, you know, so I had a very good setup. My engine is good, you know, it's good. I would say the Java factory engine from Mr. Manfred Knappe is very good, prepared for the track today. Last year we've been here to win the Team World Championship, so I feel comfortable and track is going good. We need to make some gates, and the organizer making a good job over here, so looking forward for it.
3 very different circuits, the first 3 of this 2018 season. Of course, Herxheim, a massive track, the longest one that we'll face this season. Laril, very unique with an odd shape. And this one, as I've been saying, a more classic type of oval. So constantly changing that setup, I'm sure.
Of course, I mean, you also have to work different tracks, but this shows who's the best rider. At the moment, I must say Dimitri is making a good job out there, and what we'll see. We still have now 3 meetings to go, and we talk at the end now.
How difficult is it going to be to pick up points? Because to make a big margin is a challenge when Dimitri is as consistent as he is. Mathieu beating him last time out, but only gaining 2 points, for example.
I mean, it's all racing. You never know what's happening in like 3 months, you know.
So it sounds that you're still optimistic for these remaining 3 finals. 2 in a row in the Netherlands, so this is an important stage of the season now.
Yes, it's quite important. I would like to make some good points today and even pick some away from Dimitri.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Rejoining us live for Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. a significant delay in the end to rectify problems with the starting tapes, but those are all now resolved and we can complete the second round of heats here in the Netherlands. Off the inside gate in red, it's Bernd Diener, a single point score first time out. Gate 2 in blue, it's Theo Piper of the Netherlands, 2 points from his opening ride following a battle with Richard Hall. Gate 3 in white, James Shanes, highly competitive first outing, 2 overtakes, including on the reigning world champion, to get second position. Gate 4 in yellow, Dimitri Berger, the pre-race favourite, winner first time out. A win here would put him joint meeting leader alongside Martin Smolinski, the only other unbeaten rider. And completing a lineup off Gate 5 in green, it's Max Dilger, and he'll be about the only rider in the field who will be disappointed that the starting tapes are now fixed, because he's the one who was set to benefit off gate number 5. Dilger 2 points to his name from his opening ride, and as I was saying earlier on here today, he's likely to feature as a permanent rider in the World Championship next season. So trying to get amongst it here this afternoon. His second appearance in the first 3 rounds, Max Dilger completes the lineup for heat number 6. And we've got an even break. It's a good start off gate number 2. It's Theo Piper who's got there first, side by side for second position. Diener on the inside, Dilger on the outside. The younger of the two, Dilger, comes through. Diener relegated down to 3rd position then. 4th place is with James Shanes. He thunders down the inside of Bernd Diener, catches him by surprise and takes 3rd position. Diener on the outside is really struggling here, but not nearly as much as Dimitri Berger, who's at the back. He's now come through for 4th position. But you wouldn't have expected Dimitri Berger to find himself so far back from the top 3. Held up a little bit behind Bernd Diener, but only for a couple of turns, and Berger certainly got the pace. He started to close down James Shanes now. Struggling down the straights, you can tell, because he's looking down almost as though he's desperate to avoid whatever's coming up from the rider ahead of him. We've had a half an hour break, and during it, of course, the track has got dusty. Shanes there coming through for 2nd position. Dilger coming back at him into turn 3. Good racing. Dilger goes across the turn. Shanes is on the mid-track line but gets squirrely. And he's being held up at the moment by Max Dilger. All the while Theo Piper is pulling clear out in front. We're going to have a first Dutch race winner of the day. Shanes is back through into 2nd position on Dilger. Frantic action for 2nd. But no doubt about the race leader and race winner. Fantastic ride from Theo Piper, and Dimitri Berger ends up down in 4th position, and that is certainly good news for his championship rivals. Demonstrates that he can be beaten, but it also closes down physically that championship gap. Tresaria is now only 9 points in the championship overall, and Martin Smolinski has gained back 3 points in the championship standings, courtesy of his performance in that 2nd round. So Berger moving on to 5 points in this meeting, missing out on an opportunity to tie at the top of the standings with Martin Smolinski. Gate number 4 not working well for him. And he and Max Dilger both restricted in their scoring perhaps there, as a result of the starting tapes finally being fixed there. The 2 outside start positions that have scored the bulk of the points in this meeting so far, scoring less prolifically in that one, heat number 6. So it's a win for the rider in the blue helmet colour, Theo Piper. 2nd place in white, going the way of James Shanes. 3rd place in green, Max Dilger. The single point to Dimitri Berger. And progressively, we see Martin Smolinski top the standings here in Roden on 8 points, ahead of Josef Franz on 7, and Richard Hall, along with James Shanes, each on 6 points. Bernd Diener had made a decent jump there off gate number 1, and really got swallowed up by the pack and picked off by 1 and all. Ends up down in last position. Real disappointment for him. Has been starting well in 2018, it has to be said, but this not necessarily his type of circuit, and that was demonstrated there in heat number 6. So after 6 completed races, we've got a 4-way tie on 6 points for 3rd in the meeting overall, and we've got 2 clear meeting leaders. On 8 points, unbeaten Martin Smolinski, Josef Franz just a point behind. 2 riders who performed brilliantly here in 2017 are doing the job once again a year later. all 6 points from 2 rides. A solid start to this meeting. Must be satisfied with that.
Yeah, it's going pretty good so far. Just struggling to find a good setup from the start, but to get 6 points from the first 2 is good.
No doubt about it, the outside start positions have been a little bit of an advantage, and that's worked in your favour. Something that you'll be pleased about, because you wouldn't have wanted to be off them later on in the meeting, I'm sure.
No, I had the first 2 outside starts in the first 2, and to get 2 second places is good, and the inside starts hopefully going to come good towards the end of the meeting, and we've got them next, so just got to keep plodding away.
You haven't had the start to 2018 that you would have liked, that's pretty clear, but there's still a place up for grabs for the 2019 season, of course, and I think that's probably your focus at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a few problems with the engines and with the bikes, but we've got them sorted out. We've got a new engine from William Matthijssen for today, and it's feeling good, and the last 2 meetings I've done have seemed to have a bit of good form, so I've just got to try and carry that on now and try and finish the season.
A couple of open meetings that you've done of late, and those have worked really well for you. The other night in Marmont was an excellent result as well.
Yeah, Marmont was good. I always like the track, and to finish third there and then to have a good meeting in Taik as well, it's just kind of kick my season into where I want to be, and obviously the top 7 is where I want to be, and just got to keep plodding away.
The other British riders also a little bit inconsistent at the start of the season. Do you think that's just a case of mechanical things that they're all sort of putting aside?
Yeah, I think so. Also, the Grand Prix this year is very hard. You've got 12 good riders who can all win races and win Grand Prix. The last few years it's been 5 or 6 riders, but it's just one of those things. Just got to keep going.
And as I said, your target probably to bank the automatic qualification now for next year. The medal places, well, the top little group has really started to break away, particularly Dimitri at the top of the standings.
Yeah, the top 2 have slowly pulled away, but I still think probably from 3rd to 7th is still open, but it's all to play for. Everybody wants the top 7.
Well, and now the focus is on those semi-final positions here today. You're in a good place for that. We wish you the best of luck for it.
Thank you very much.
The first Dutch race winner here today, heat number 6. It didn't take too long. A good performance from yourself there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I kind of needed that boost. I had the first heat was kind of my practice heat really, and we made a little change, and it felt good there. So hopefully we can continue this.
A bit of a battle in your first ride as well. So the track is certainly open to overtaking. It's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. You know, especially in this heat, it's quite hard to keep the moisture down on the track, and of course there's a lot of dust. But certainly they did their best, and now we need to do our best. You know.
The start of this season in the World Championship at least hasn't gone how you might have been hoping for it to, but still 3 rounds remaining in 2018 and an opportunity to fight your way back into that top 7.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I had the first 2 Grand Prix was hard for me, and now I need to fight for getting back into GP for next year, and that will be my 20th year. So I'll try to do my best to get in there.
Around the qualification zone towards the semi-finals in each of the first 2 rounds, been close each time. I'm sure you'd like, with that race win, to be sure of a semi-final place a little bit earlier in the meeting.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I hope I can do the same starts again, and then try to get another win under the belt, because we need it. You know, I need the points. You know, and the wife and my little daughter sits at home watching, so I hope she's feeling well. She's a bit under the weather, so hopefully it'll be better.
The Dutch fans will be cheering you on as well here today. Of course, we're without Romano Hummel, so that the fans are one down, if you like, and you're the main man to do the job for them.
Yeah, well, I'll hope I do them proud. You know, I'll try my best to get into the final, and then hopefully on the rostrum.
Good luck.
Cheers.
joining us here at Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship, and in time for the third block of heat races. As you can hear, I've dashed back up to commentary, having taken the opportunity to speak to a couple of the riders down in pit lane. And now we're coming out onto the track for heat number 7. Josef Franz will be the favourite here. He's got the inside gate, capitalised on the very outside start position in his opening ride, heat number 2, and took the 4 race points there. Beaten by Martin Smolinski last time out in heat 5. And now off the inside gate. The other of the favourites, Dimitri Berger, although he had a poor ride last time out, off at gate number 4, could only manage a single point, and that after Berndina really slowed. The other riders in this race, frankly, on paper at least, are also Rans. The 2 favourites from inside and out. Look at the lineup in full then for heat number 7. Josef Franz goes off gate number 1 in red. 7 points from 2 rides, just a single point drop to an opponent. European number 2 in grass track competition. Seems to be finding his peak long track form, having already had a good start to the Speedway campaign as well, the veteran. Gate number 2 in blue, Jerome Lespinasse, a single point scorer first time out, just that 1 point to his name so far. Gate 3 in white, it's Anders Mellgren, single point in heat 4 for beating Chris Harris. Gate 4 in yellow, Berndina made a decent jump but went backwards last time out in heat 6. 2 rides in succession for him. And likewise 2 rides in a row for Dimitri Berger. The bottom 2 finishers from heat number 6 are back out here for heat 7. And Berger, the championship leader. That last race, heat 6, saw a couple of points notched away in the championship overall by his rivals. Whether that's going to have a lasting impact on this series remains to be seen. If he continues to struggle here today, it only takes 1 bad meeting to wipe away a margin of 10 points or so, particularly with semi-finals and finals offering more World Championship points. Great that we've got some rhythm back in the meeting now, of course, after that half-hour delay, and that really necessitated some urgent track work because the track had really dried up between heats 5 and 6. We're just waiting for the rider in yellow, Berndina, to settle into line, and now we're ready to go. It's Franz off 1, Lespinasse off 2, Mellgren off 3, Dina off 4, and Berger off 5. Not such a good start from Josef Franz off the inside gate, but he's managed to force his way to the inside line and move Jerome Lespinasse out of the way. Up the inside now and challenging for third position. It's the rider in white, Anders Mellgren. He backs it off down the back straight and loses power, so a mechanical problem for Anders Mellgren, and through comes Dimitri Berger. But the outside gates have hit Berger at just the wrong moment. Here he goes diving down the inside of his fellow countryman Jerome Lespinasse, but he couldn't get it turned even. He went freewheeling into the corner, almost motocross style. He's going to get the momentum coming off turn number 2 and quickly pulls past Jerome Lespinasse. But honestly, his race was never with the strugglers, or also Rans, as I said before the race. The riders on a single point each weren't really expected to challenge either Josef Franz or Dimitri Berger, and that's the way it's proven here. It's Franz. A significant margin clear now of Dimitri Berger, and Josef Franz will have scored 11 points from 3 rides, showing the form that I said he has been showing in recent weeks. Big gaps between each of the rounds in the Long Track World Championship of around a month or so, and riders who start the season on form don't necessarily end it on form. Berndina is case in point. Started brilliantly in Herxheim, was all right in La Réole, and has been poor here today. He is going to pick up a point though after a mechanical retirement for Anders Mellgren. Fine win there from Josef Franz. Didn't make the best of starts, but shuffled up the pack, and he goes on to the 4 race points. Second over the line, Dimitri Berger had to come through the field. Gate 5, the gloss has been knocked away from that starting position with the issues with the starting tapes being rectified. And Anders Mellgren, well, an opportunity to pick up something from that one. He was a couple of places away from the back, and certainly would have been able to challenge for the 2 race points there, but retiring instead on the back straight. Through comes Dimitri Berger, and Berger going on to take second place, but he's not looked convincing in either of his last 2 rides from the 2 outside gates. And the riders who've had the outside gates at the start of the meeting, before those starting tapes were adjusted, are undoubtedly going to be in a better position now. Martin Smolinski, for example, had gate number 5 and gate 4 in the first 2 rounds within the first 5 races. Richard Hall is the only other rider to have got gate number 4 and gate number 5 out of the way in the opening 5 races of the day. So heat number 7 then sees Josef Franz moving on to 11, Dimitri Berger moving on to 8. He's now tied with Martin Smolinski, but of course Smolinski has a ride in hand, and Mathieu Tresaria is one of those riders on 6 points apiece, and we'll see more of those in the next 2 races. Theo Piper and Mathieu Tresaria on 6 points apiece line up in this one, heat number 8, and then James Shanes and Richard Hall also each on 6 points together in heat number 9 with Martin Smolinski. That should be a highly entertaining race as well. Now we come out onto track for heat number 8. We're just waiting for Josef Franz, whose machine let him down coming off turn number 2, and they've gone to collect it, and as soon as that bike is removed from the circuit, we can get underway with the 8th race of the day. This one will feature Max Dilger off the inside, Dave Meyerink off 2, Hinek Stickauer off 3, Theo Piper off 4, and Mathieu Tresaria off 5. And that's an interesting lineup, because the 2 riders who you'd expect to score the largest number of points are off what have quickly become the worst starting positions out on the track. Gates 4 and 5, and the inside now is the place to be, and Max Dilger will be trying to take advantage of that as he lines up off the inside gate in red. So Piper's machine, or France's machine I should say, just being picked up on the exit of turn 2, makes its way back towards the pits, and after a very brief delay we will get underway with heat number 8. It's a problem you don't have too much of in Speedway normally, because if the track's 300 metres, it's never very far away from the pits a bike that goes wrong. I wouldn't want to have to do a 400 or 500 metre walk around with one of these bikes anyway to the pits to try and bring it back, so thankfully we've got a vehicle to do that job. Coming up to halfway through the heat stages here in Roden, then we line up for heat number 8. Max Dilger goes off the inside gate in red, 4 points to his name so far. Dave Meyerink off gate 2 in blue, showing his credentials. Made it through to the Long Track Challenge in 2017, but he didn't even make it as far as that in 2018. Really has been a giant killing effort from him so far. 5 points from his first 2 rides. Not many would have been predicting that. He just gets off the bike ahead of the start of this one. Gate number 3 in the white helmet colour, Hinek Stickauer, 2 points from 2 rides. Beat Chris Harris in heat 2 and Jerome Lespinasse in heat 5. Not been an outstanding meeting for him. But remember, he only made his World Championship debut last season. Actually had a great debut, finished in 6th place over in Herxheim in 2017. But 3 subsequent appearances in the World Championship, and he's never really captured anything like that form. That's Stickauer off gate 3, the one the riders don't fancy. Gate 4 in yellow, it's Theo Piper. Heard from him during the interval break. He's doing it for his family back home, watching on. 6 points from 2 rides so far. The winner last time he took to the track in heat number 6. Fine ride it was as well off gate number 2. And the outside start position with Mathieu Tresaria, another of the round 2 heat winners, the winner of heat number 4. The other round 2 heat winner, Martin Smolinski, lines up off gate 2 next time out in heat 9. Watch for the 2 favourites off the 2 outside starting positions then, as Wigo takes up on heat 8. It's Meyerink who's made the start off to the wild card. Gets the fastest jump, but he's moved aside by Max Dilger into the first turn, and Meyerink's been forced back down into 4th position. Through up the inside of him comes Stickauer into P3, and now challenging for the inside line is Mathieu Tresaria, who was shuffled into the wrong portion of the track on the first 2 turns, but is battling back. They're side by side for the lead. Dilger's trying to block out Piper. Piper almost forced outside of the track limits, but he gets across the front of Dilger. Super riding from Theo Piper to hit the front, and Tresaria is nowhere out at the back. Around the outside of him now comes Meyerink through for 4th position again. The Dutchman proving a thorn in the Frenchman's side. Tresaria is being held up by Stickauer. They're 3 abreast on the top turn. Stickauer just about holding on. Meyerink's getting a smoother run than Tresaria. The Frenchman being held back on the inside line by Hinek Stickauer. And that's giving Meyerink the opportunity to really build up his speed, but Stickhauer's now going after Dilger. We've got a 3-rider fight over second. Meyerink started to slip back as the race has gone on. Maybe the outside just a little bit too far at this stage of the match to go. Tresaria, though, starting to hunt down Stickhauer. Really needs the extra point in the context of the World Championship. Here he goes, Tresaria with a good move off turn 2, and he's done it for third. Final 2 turns. Tresaria not close enough to challenge Dilger. And that outside gate, just a bit of bad luck for Matteo Tresaria to find himself off it in the third round of heats. And he can only manage 2 points there in heat number 8. But a second ride in succession for Theo Piper. He said he wanted a big day. He said he wanted to walk away with a trophy at the end of it. And he's certainly going about it the right way. Theo Piper with a fine move on the outside of Max Dilger to pick up the race lead and the 4 race points. Piper then moves on to a double-figure score. He's been scratching around for the points needed to move through to the semi-finals in the opening 2 rounds. I don't think that'll be the case here today. With 10 points from 3 rides, I suspect that Piper's already done the work he needs to move through to the semi-final stages.
Yellow, red, green, white, red.
Heat number 8 then, with a win for Theo Piper to move on to 10 points. Max Dilger, second place, moves on to 7. Only 2 points for Matteo Tresaria, who moves on to 8 alongside Dimitri Berger. So the 2 Frenchmen with outside gates in the third round of heats have really been penalised here. And Chris Harris has got that gate 5 in this one, heat number 9, and he really can't afford to drop back any further. He's yet to score. Line up in full for heat number 9 then. Richard Hall goes off the inside gate in red. As you heard from him in that interview, a podium finisher at Marmande on Friday night. Actually beat reigning world champion Matteo Tresaria in the final. But Hall was disappointing in the long track world final in France, second round of the season. Only 2 points better in Herxheim. He hasn't been on his best form. Richard Hall, a former Grand Prix winner, of course. Gate 2 in blue, Martin Smolinski, undefeated from his 2 rides. Can he continue his maximum hopes? Gate 3 in white, Stefan Kat picked up 2 points from gate number 5, but he was far from convincing from a starting position that at the time was a mammoth advantage. Gate 4 in yellow, James Shanes, 2 second place finishes, 6 points under his belt. Great Britain's top scorer in the World Team Championship here last season, so he certainly enjoys the circuit. Chris Harris, by contrast, didn't ride in that meeting for Britain, wasn't selected. He goes off the outside, gate number 5. Failed to finish first time out, failed to score second time out. Harris is desperate for a turnaround in fortunes now. Looked so good in Marmande on Friday night, probably his best performance in long track or grass track in 2018. Harris squeezed into the semi-finals at La Réole, but had a fair amount of luck in each of the opening 2 rounds of this season and hasn't looked particularly convincing in 2018 so far. Harris then desperately needs to get up and running off the outside gate here. Another last place, and his semi-final hopes will surely already be over. Heat number 9 then gets underway. Great start off 2 from Smolinski. Smolinski's there first. Second place around the first 2 turns, Richard Hall on the inside line. Here comes Harris. Picks off Stefan Kat coming off turn number 2. Now there's a 3-rider battle over P2. Hall holding the inside. Shane's holding the inside as well. Here goes Harris. Leg trailing up on the outside line. Passes 2 in 1 go. Whatever was wrong for Chris Harris has clearly been fixed because he's back on the pace here. Shane's now down low on the inside of Richard Hall, coming through for 3rd position. Does so in straightforward fashion as well, coming off turn 2. Hall going to try and come back at him wide. Shane's has already moved to block that run. Hall's going to have to go even further, but he just gets filled in. And that has started to settle this one down. Has Shane's got enough legs to go after Harris for 2nd position? Smolinski is away and gone. It's going to be 3 rides and 3 wins for him. He and Josef Franz, just as they were in the World Team Championship here last year, the class of the field. Both riders love this circuit. We're into the final lap now with Smolinski. Harris in 2nd. Still comfortably ahead of James Shanes, who hasn't really been able to close down Harris. probably went the wrong way to try and pass Richard Hall earlier in the race. If he'd gone round the outside of Hall, Harris would have been held behind him. But instead, Harris, with a bold move around the outside line, has picked off 2 and takes second position in heat number 9. Smolinski the winner, Harris over the line in second place. Third goes to James Shanes, Richard Hall the consolation point, and Stefan Kapp with a second non-scoring ride of the afternoon. Harris gets his first points of the day on the board. He'll be relieved about that. But the race winner, Martin Smolinski, retakes the meeting lead. His 4 race points there in heat number 9, moving him on to an unbeaten 12, a point ahead of Josef Franz and 2 clear of Theo Piper. Those 3 double-figure scorers in the opening 3 rounds are surely already on the way towards the semi-final stages here in Roden.
Richard Hall met de rood 1 punt, 134 1 point, 134 met de rood. Eindepunt in de 42, Stefan Kapp met wit, geen punten, 42 no points, 42 keine punten.
Joined live by Josef Franz. Josef, just 1 drop point from 3 rides. It's been a great start for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy, you know, for the boys who's doing the job for me, and points are on the board, and we try our best today and try to go on the podium.
I think you've quietly worked your way through this season so far. You've been consistent. You haven't had massive results, but you're there in 3rd in the world, so a big result here today would really make you a contender for the championship.
Yeah, this is my favorite track too, you know, so I always want to do the best, but it's always I make something wrong and I get wrong to myself, you know, after the meeting. So I don't know, that's sport, and I want to win, I want to be world champion, but can be only one, the best, and that's the reality.
You and Martin Smolinski both rode very well here last year in the World Team Championship, and you're at the top of the standings again today, so it's no coincidence. It's obviously, you know, riding skill from both of you.
No, this is something between long track and speedway track, you know, and Martin is a real professional, you know, everybody can learn of him, and that's the reality too. So I'm trying myself to do the best result today, but it's difficult.
And as for the World Championship itself, as we've said, you've had a pretty good season. Recent weeks you've started to pick it up a little bit more, particularly on the long track. You started well in speedway.
I lost lots of points in Herxheim, you know, in that first Grand Prix. So I try to catch the points back, but it's very hard because nobody make lots of mistakes. Now I already, after my last winning, had a problem with the bike, so I'm not 100% sure if I come back onto the same bike. So that's the sport, and we will see on the end how we get on.
Yeah, when I came to pick you up for the interview, your mechanics were all working frantically on the bike. What is the problem? Is that's your #1 bike?
Yeah, it is, you know, it's no idea. I finished the race, and, you know, the bike just don't want to go at all. So we just looking on everything. Fuel is all over the bike, and I don't know. We just see, and finger crossed will be okay.
Well, the good news about it is it happened after the race, so you picked up the points, and you're in a good position to qualify for the semi-finals. Wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome back to Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship here in Roden, ahead of the 4th block of heat races. Look at the current standings here today. It's Martin Smolinski, Josef Franz and Theo Piper who've all sat on double figures from 3 rides, and they should all be safely through to the semi-final stages here today. Dimitri Berger, Mathieu Tresaria, those are the top 2 in the current championship standings. Tresaria unable to gain back any lost ground on Dimitri Berger, despite the fact that his fellow countryman has struggled so far, it must be said. Berger just a single point scored in heat number 6 and didn't look convincing in heat 7 up against some of the lesser lights of the Long Track World Championship. So Berger, the championship leader, having a few difficulties here in Roden. And the main man to capitalise, Martin Smolinski, has gained back 4 of the lost points in the championship standings. He had a massive 19 to close in, so that gap is now down to 15 as Smolinski closes in on Tresaria for second. And Josef Franz also doing a good job so far. He was up in 3rd in the world coming into today's meeting. Martin Smolinski obviously gaining on him, but other than that, Franz up there among the top performers here today. Richard Hall, Max Dilger, Dave Meyerink and Chris Harris currently round out the top 10. Jerome Lespinas and Hinek Stickauer tied on 3 points with Chris Harris, but Harris has the advantage at the moment on countback, thanks to a second place in heat number 9, but that's been his only scoring ride so far. He's got an inside and an outside gate to come, and he's going to have to make them work if he wants to make it through. Top 10 go through to the semi-final stages, and the top 5 highest scorers, after the points from the semi-final stages are added in, move through to the final. So that's all still to look forward to. Penultimate round of heat races here in Roden, and this is where the semi-final permutations start to clarify. Got several riders on 3 points and 2, and if they don't pick up big scores in each of the 2 final rounds, they could well find themselves eliminated. See Martin Smolinski there, the number 84, just preparing to come out onto track for heat number 10. 2 rides in succession for him, hence the break between rounds, of course. The other riders lining up on track featured earlier on in that 3rd round of heats. So here we go with heat number 10 then. The lineup for this one will feature Theo Piper in the red helmet colour. 10 points from 3 rides, 2 wins in succession coming into this one. Piper a man on 4. Gate 2 in blue, Dimitri Berger. Winner of heat number 3. He's only amassed 4 points from 2 rides since then, Berger, championship leader. Gate 3 in white, Martin Smolinski. Real battle of the big guns off the inside 3 starting positions. Will Smolinski suffer his first defeat of the day? Those in white. Gate 4 in yellow, Anders Melgren. This is going to be a tough race for him. Look at the 3 riders on the inside of him. You wouldn't want to be the Swede at the moment, would you? 1 point from 3 rides, and now he lines up against 3 of the top performers here today. Josef Franz, the other of the leaders, lines up in heat number 11. And completing the lineup for this one, heat number 10, it's Hinek Stickauer, 3 points from 3 rides. And Stickauer will probably be aiming to keep up his run of single-point scores and get the better of Anders Melgren. But breaking into the top 3 is going to be a real challenge for either of the 2 riders on the 2 outside gates. Piper off 1 then, Berger off 2, Smolinski off 3, Melgren off 4, Stickauer off 5 for this one, heat number 10. Smolinski, the pre-race favourite, undefeated. Can Dimitri Berger get back up and running, or is he going to lose more ground in the championship standings overall? The gap has been narrowed from 19 to 15 by Smolinski. Mathieu Tresaria so far unable to capitalise on what's been a bit of a dip in form for Dimitri Berger over his last 2 rides. Smolinski just turning around from the tapes. Building up the anticipation for this one, the 10th race of the day. Plenty of time allowance for the riders in long track, and Smolinski making good use of all of that. The starting marshal tries to get them into line. Here we go then, the favourites off the 3 inside starting positions. The championship leader Berger, the round 1 winner Smolinski, and the form man and home rider here in Roden, Theo Piper. Starting marshal moves away. Heat 10 can get underway. Riders looking down at the magnets, and away they go. Poor start off gate number 4, and appalling start off gate number 5. And the 3 favourites have hit the front. But it's not Smolinski who leads them, it's Piper. Much to the delight of the crowd here in Roden. There goes Smolinski though. Oh, it's a big move from Smolinski. From way back into turn number 3 across the front of Piper. Piper's got the cutback off 4, but Smolinski has the pace. And that was a really bold move from Smolinski. He could quite easily have dropped Piper completely there going into turn 3. He saw a gap and he wasn't going to back out of it for anything there. He'd passed Berger off turn number 2 as though he was standing still, and the Frenchman is struggling. Berger really struggling here in Roden today. Separate fight going on out at the back. Anders Mellgren looking set to score the single point at the moment. Stickauer was shocking away from the tapes, but he started to gain in ground over the last lap or so, and now he's right on the tail of Anders Mellgren, battling for the single. The top 3 positions are decided. Mellgren skates a little wider than he wants to go on turn number 3. Stickauer's creeping round the curb. Not sure that the check is quite close enough, and in fact, if anything, lost ground there on turns 3 and 4, and that should have settled it down. Heading into the final turn for the final time then. Already 3 wins on the board. This is going to be win number 4 here in Roden. He's back, and he's back with a bang. It's Martin Smolinski who takes the checkered flag in heat number 10 from 3rd to 1st in sensational style, dispatching the championship leader. And Theo Piper, who had won 2 races in succession going into that one, heat number 10, can only manage 2nd position behind the dominant Martin Smolinski. Well, with such a margin as 19 points to make up in the remainder of the season, Smolinski knows he needs every possible point, and banging in the race victories is going to help him in that regard. Will he start to chip away at the confidence of Dimitri Berger? Berger was certainly well defeated there in heat number 10, scoring just 2 race points. There he is, the number 96, making his way back into the pits as Stickauer does a practice start on the back straight, and he needs to, frankly, because that was an appalling getaway off gate number 5. It wasn't a bad drop of the clutch, but I don't know what went wrong as he ran down to the first turn. We're going to see it again here. Stickauer off gate number 5. It almost looks as though he dropped a gear or something on the way down to the first turn, the extent to which he was struggling. And Anders Mellgren picks up a 2nd point of the day, but as expected, the 3 favourites off the 3 inside start positions. This gives you a really good idea of Stickauer's poor start. There he is. Suddenly they all lurch forward except Stickauer, who fails to score in that one for the first time here today. Heat number 11 is next up. Mixture of fortunes among the 5 riders in this one. Stefan Kapp, the lowest scorer of the quintet, goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, just 2 points from 3 rides so far. Gate 2 in blue, it's Max Dilger. 7 points from 3 outings. 3 points scored in heat number 8, his best performance of the day so far from the inside gate. He's got gate 2 in blue here. Gate 3 in white, Dave Meyerink. 5 points from 3 rides. Failed to score last time out in heat number 8. Is the tide turning against the wild card? He did make a good start actually last time around in heat 8, but he got shuffled up. He's off gate 3 here. Gate 4, Josef Franz, highest scorer of this group. He's dropped just 1 point from 3 rides, and he's been looking good. Has an opportunity to move back 2nd in the meeting standings if he can win and move on to 15. The outside gate with James Shanes yet to take his first race victory of the day. Much as I said at the top of the meeting, he's been consistent, but without the real highlights. James Shanes finishing 4th in the European grass track final, as you heard earlier on, conceding the title he'd won for 2 seasons in succession, including on home grass in the UK at Swingfield. Shanes settling into position off the outside gate then to complete the lineup for heat number 11. Kat off 1, Dilger off 2, Meyerink off 3, Franz off 4, and Shanes off the outside. Heat 11 is underway. Meyerink with an underwhelming start, and it's Max Dilger who gets there first. Dilger leads the way, but here comes Josef Franz to hit the front off turn 2. Franz leads them then. Dilger in 2nd, 3rd is with James Shanes, About to come through for the single point, Dave Meyerink. He overhauls Stefan Katz, although then he gets coated in material coming off the final turn, and Kat comes back through. Battle is over second position, where James Shanes has now dispatched Max Dilger. Dilger's going backwards, made a great start. Shanes has left him for dead down the back straight though. And again Dave Meyerink trying for the single point here. He started so strongly with 3 points in heat number 1. He's gone backwards since then, the Dutchman. He needs to try and get something from this race if he wants to keep up his hopes of a semi-final position, because Stefan Kat, quite honestly, is nowhere near the semi-finals. Meyerink needs this point far more. Again, we're scrapping for the minor placings. The leaders have settled it down. Here goes Meyerink up for a wide line on turn 3. Gets a good line there, actually, and good speed. He can't carry the speed off the turns, though. That's where he's struggling. He looks so fast going into them. There he is again, gaining ground massively on Stefan Kat, but then coming off turn 2, he'll lose ground. He runs out of room there on that occasion, actually, Dave Meyerink. He's going to fail to score for a second ride in succession. His hopes of a place in the semi-final stages look to be slipping away. No such problems for Josef Franz. He's already through. He moves second in the meeting standings once again. James Shanes has had to do more passing in this meeting than he'd probably want to, but he came through well for second there. Max Dilger has scored at least 2 points in each of his 4 rides, and he's probably only a couple of points away from the semi-finals now. A single point going the way of Stefan Katz. Scant consolation for the fact that he's almost certainly eliminated once again, and it'll be a third round in succession without the veteran former European champion making it through to the semi-finals. So Meyerink, as you can see, the non-scorer in that one, failed to score in Heat 8 as well, and he'll be disappointed about that. He really missed the start dramatically off gate number 3, and he's got gate 5 still to come, so I suspect that the wild card may well miss out on the semi-final places after a stunning start in his opening 2 rides. Josef Franz. No mechanical problems there, as we saw the bike stopped out on track after heat number 7. He had a good amount of time to fix it, but when we spoke to him during that grading break, he wasn't entirely convinced that it could be fixed. He didn't even know what it was at that stage that had caused the bike to stop. Either way, whether that was the second machine or the first, it's another 4 points on the board for Josef Franz. Now we move on to heat number 12. Mathieu Tresaria lining up off the inside gate in red. Dimitri Berger scoring 2 points, moved on to 10. Tresaria could bring the championship lead down to 8 points if he can win off the inside gate here. Gate 2 in blue, Richard Hall. Didn't look too good last time out in heat number 9. Gate 3 in white, Berndina, only 2 points from 3 rides. Big race for him. He needs to pick up at least a second place, I suspect, if he wants a place in the semi-finals. A race victory may well be needed. Chris Harris goes off gate 4, 3 points to his name. He was the last of the top 10 runners at the end of the previous round. So that leaves him in a very precarious position, but he showed great pace in heat number 9 after 2 non-scoring rides, where no doubt he was having mechanical problems because he looked well off the pace and gave up actually in his first ride, heat number 2. And the outside gate is with Jérôme Lespinasse, tied on points with Harris, but I would suggest not on pace on the evidence of what we saw in the third round of heats. Lespinasse right towards the bottom of the championship standings, along with Stefan Kat, as we said previously. In fact, the pair are tied again at the bottom of the championship standings coming into this race. Lespinasse, though, with that ride in hand. Heat number 12 then. Mathieu Tresaria, the favourite off the inside gate. Hall off 2, Dina off 3, Harris off 4, Lespinasse off 5. Little bit of edginess on the line, and there goes Chris Harris. The bike letting him down off the line. He didn't even get off the line. At the moment, he hasn't moved. The race continues around him. Harris now saunters onto the infield as the race lead is being contested. Around the outside for the lead comes Richard Hall. Great move on Mathieu Tresaria. He keeps it wound on. He's got the long way to go, and Tresaria can't block him out. That is an outstanding move from Richard Hall. Tresaria battling back on the inside line, but Hall is where he likes to be, and when Hall hits the front and he's on the outside line, rarely does anyone match him. Some real speed being shown here by Richard Hall of Great Britain. Mathieu Tresaria has now moved up to copy him, but I think it's too late. And Tresaria is going to miss out on an opportunity. 3 race points here will narrow the championship deficit, and it'll be down to 9 as the pair at the back really battle it out over the 2 race points. Bernardina soars around the outside of Jérôme Lespinasse. Has he got enough ahead of the final lap? It looks as though the answer is yes. Bernardina clears Lespinasse, and the 2 race points may just keep his hopes alive as they go side by side up front. Tresaria trying to block out Hall. He's going for the inside line. Hall perhaps should have gone defensive on the final 2 turns. He hasn't. Tresaria's got the shorter route. Hall's going up as wide as he dares, and that is a brilliant ride from Richard Hall. Under pressure throughout, having had to work hard to hit the front, Richard Hall takes the 4 race points. Good ride from him. Mathieu Tresaria gets second, and third going the way of Bernardina, who moves on to 4 points from his 4 rides here today. It's not been a good day for Bernardina. The consolation for him, of course, is that his place in the 2019 World Championship is already assured by his result in the challenge. But today's meeting has been a disappointment. So it's 4 points for Richard Hall. He becomes the latest rider to book his place in the semi-final stages on 11, as does Mathieu Tresaria on the same points total. The only riders ahead of them at the moment are Theo Piper on 13 and Joseph France on 15. Just behind them, Dimitri Berger on 11. But Tresaria has failed to capitalise on Berger's struggles here today. He's gained back just 1 point, on that courtesy of his second place there. Chris Harris retiring on the start line, just when it looked as though he'd found something mechanically that was working. You see the images again from that one, heat number 12. Mathieu Tresaria trying the inside line. Off turn number 2 on the final lap, it looked as though Tresaria might have got there, but it was Hall who held on for the race victory. Richard Hall then with the 4 race points moves on to 11, ahead of Mathieu Tresaria also on 11. And as I said, looking at the point standings, I suggest that we've already got possibly 7 of our semi-finalists already confirmed. And those would be the riders currently on double figures. There we see the current standings. We've got Dimitri Berger on 10, just behind Mathieu Tresaria, Richard Hall and James Shanes on 11, Theo Piper on 13, Joseph France on 15, and Martin Smolinski, your meeting leader, undefeated after 4 completed rides. A good start to this meeting for you, and you're just a couple of points away from the semi-finals now.
It is tough out there. It's not the best start. We wanted a better start, but we're plugging away, keeping the points in, so try to do that in the last one as well.
You've been involved in plenty of action, making decent starts as well, so a satisfactory performance on your return?
Yeah, it starts working fine. We just struggle on the pace, on track really. The track's very difficult. It's not really consistent, so we try different setup, but we haven't found the right one yet.
Obviously, we never wish any rider to be injured, but it does give you a great opportunity to make a second appearance this season, having already been the wild card at the opening round. And if you make enough appearances, you'll be a contender for the top 7 this season.
It's really hard with 1 GP missing, but I'm going to try my best and see it as a learning curve and good experience for myself and to show myself on the international stage and see how it goes.
And having finished among the top positions in the challenge earlier this season, you're not too far away from a call-up for next season, so this is good preparation for 2019.
It is, but obviously Hummel is one of the guys who should stay in the top 7 for me to get into it. So it was I've seen it with a good and a bad eye, really. So yeah, see how it goes.
Well, for the moment, the focus will be on today. And as I said, not too far away from the semi-finals, so just the last couple of points to pick up in your remaining ride.
Yeah, definitely. We need more points on the board, especially for gate selection, because skating is vital tonight.
Well, we know you're in the next race, so we'll let you get on with it.
Cheers, mate.
Welcome back to Roden for continued coverage of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. It's the third final of the campaign, and a clear picture starting to develop both in this season and here in the Netherlands. We have 7 breakaway leaders in the meeting, all on double-figure scores and all surely assured of a place in the semi-final stages. And directly behind them, one scorer on 9, Max Dilger, and then a real gulf behind that. And there are a huge number of riders still in contention to take the last of the qualification places. Plenty of permutations then as we build it up for the final round of heats. Heat number 13 will be next here today. Just thinking about the overall meeting standings here in Roden, where, as I said, we've got Martin Smolinski leading the way on 16. Josef Franz directly behind him, just a single point back. And as I was saying, a series of riders still in contention for the last of those qualification positions. I've already gone through the top 8 and said that we're looking for the 9th and 10th qualifiers. The top 8 already assured. Dilger, who we spoke to a few moments ago, 8th position. I said at the time he probably needed a couple of points, and actually he's already through, with the rest of the pack some way adrift at the moment. Dave Meyerink, his nearest rival, on 5, despite 2 non-scoring rides in succession, is still inside the top 10 because the riders in the lower reaches of the field have not been taking points off the big guns. They've only been taking points off one another. So Meyerink with a big ride may still make it through. Jerome Lespinas and Berndina on 4 points apiece are at the moment dueling over the last of the qualification positions. And then we've got a clutch of riders on 3 points apiece. Chris Harris, Stefan Katt, Hinek Stickauer, all on that marker. Just a single place ahead, of course, of Anders Mellgren, who rounds out the scorers here today. Even Mellgren, actually, if he were to take a race win here, unlikely though it seems, off the very outside start position in heat number 13, could make it through. Very unusual situation here with the point standings, but realistically, you're probably looking at a Chris Harris or a Berndina, someone around those marks, to be making it through to the semi-final stages here today. Either way, whichever of those riders on the fringes makes it through, the tough task will then be to make it through to the final, because remember, it's not the top 2 from the semis or anything like that. It is the top 5 scorers in total points here today after semi-final number 2, the 17th race of the day, that will move through to the final. Already putting himself in a good position in that regard is Martin Smolinski, who leads the way in this meeting on 16 points. And if he was to pick up another race win in heat number 14, you can almost seal his place in the grand final before the semi-finals even take place. Just a little bit of track preparation there undertaken between heats 12 and 13. And 2 of the riders who are still contesting the minor placings in the battle for the semi-finals will be out in this one. Chris Harris off gate number 1 in red, and Anders Mellgren off gate 5 in green. Need big results if they're to make it through. Stefan Katt likewise, there he is. He will feature in heat number 15 for his final programmed ride. Waiting for the all clear for the riders to get out onto track for heat number 13. Just the 3 qualification heats remaining, and then the knockouts will begin. Chris Harris, man under pressure, going in the red helmet colour. 3 points from 4 rides, and a big race here needed to seal his progression to the semi-final stages. Here we go then, heat number 13. Chris Harris off gate 1 in red. 3 points in heat number 9, his only score so far. Gate 2 in blue, James Shanes, 11 points from 4 rides. Yet to take his first race victory of the day. I'm sure he'd like to do that here. Gate 3 in white, Dimitri Berger, some way short of his best in the context of the championship. Mathieu Tresaria has narrowed the championship deficit to 9, and Martin Smolinski has already gained back 6 of the 19-point deficit he had coming into this round. Gate number 4 in the yellow helmet colour, Max Dilger, already through to the semi-finals. More scoring here in heat number 13 needed if he wants to have a chance of making it through to the final. As he said, don't forget about gate positions either. When there's a disparity in starting positions, the inside gate's so favourable, you don't want to find yourself with an outside draw because of a poor seeding position to the semis. Anders Mellgren completes the lineup here off gate 5. Only 2 points from 4 rides, but as I said, anything is still possible. The Swede could still, theoretically, make it through to the semi-final stages. I can't see any way for him to make it through to the final here today, though. Swede going off the outside gate. Sweden, not a real country with long track pedigree, not in recent seasons anyway. The last Swedish World Long Track finalist was Joel Nystrom back in 2013. Prior to that, the previous Swede to appear, Stefan Dano, back in 1995. Henrik Gustafsson, the last Swede to make the World Long Track's top 10. Also in the mid-1990s before we moved over to the multi-round Grand Prix format. Chris Harris, the rider in focus, then goes off the inside gate, needs a big result here to move himself into the semi-final positions. Heat number 13. Great start off gate number 2. Shanes is away well. Harris has made a good one though and thrusts him out of the way, and Chris Harris has hit the front. Battle over second position. Berger trying to challenge Shanes. Shanes covers across the front of him. It's Great Britain 1 and 2. Dimitri Berger in 3rd position. Max Dilger in line for the consolation point in 4th as Berger reaches up to the outside line, gets filled in on a freshly watered surface and has to work hard to cover Max Dilger, who's actually taken off his goggles altogether because he got totally filled in there, and the next thing to fill in is his face, no doubt, as he comes off turn number 2 in the roost of Dimitri Berger up ahead. But Dilger is battling on to try and hold on to the single point ahead of Anders Mellgren, but it's Chris Harris who leads the way, showing the speed he showed in heat number 9. And Chris Harris looking set for the 4 race points, and if he gets them, surely Harris will be moving through to the semi-final stages. Into the top turn. Harris has done very little during this meeting of note. 2 retirements, 3 non-scores, but Harris is going to do it when it matters the most. And that is experience and class showing from Chris Harris, who leads them into the final lap. Shanes is now all over the back of him. Could he really affect the chances of his fellow countrymen qualifying through to the semi-final stages? Harris gets a surge of speed at the end of the back straight, but Shanes is right on his tail now. It's going to be a drag race to the line, but it's going to be Chris Bomber Harris who takes the 4 race points and surely books his place to the semi-final stages in so doing. Important ride from Harris. He's pulled it out of the back completely there. Shanes had made the better start. Gate 2 has looked the better gate position than Gate 1, but Gate 1 has the muscle advantage, and Harris used it. Moved Shanes out of the way. Shanes spent the rest of the race trying to get back on terms. He was faster than Harris, but he could find no way through. Harris wins it then for 4, ahead of Shanes in 2nd for 3. Berger gets the 2 race points. Dilger just 1, but moves on to a double-figure score. His place in the semi-finals was already assured. That race sees the elimination of Anders Mellgren then, with just 2 race points here today, and also sees Dimitri Berger offer up an opportunity to his World Championship rivals to make more of their lost ground. From the start again then, and Chris Harris off gate number 1. You can see Shanes has got the advantage, half a bike length, but Harris powers through on the inside line, squeezes as close as he can to the white line into 1, up wider off turn 2, and away for the checkered flag. Chris Harris needed that win and took it. Now we move on to heat number 14. This features the current meeting leader, Martin Smolinski, who saw Dimitri Berger score just 2 points last time out in heat number 13. The gap at the moment, 15 points in the series standings, but Smolinski has a ride in hand and could cut it down to 11. With 2 races still to come, theoretically, we could see Smolinski as few as 3 points behind with 2 rounds remaining. What a recovery that would be by the German. Smolinski off the inside gate in red. Gate 2 in blue, Berndina. Well, he was among the qualification contenders. He was right on the fringes of the qualification cut-off on 4, tied with Jérôme Lespinasse, who features next time out in heat number 15. A win for Berndina here in Heat 14, and that would surely move him through to the semi-final stages. Dina goes off gate number 2. He's been disappointing so far. His best score, a 2-point score, last time out for him in heat number 12. Gate 3 in white, it's Richard Hall, winner of his last ride, heat 12. Good ride on that occasion to beat Matteo Tresaria. Wall on 11 is through. Hinek Stickauer on 3 points. He could also make it through to the semi-final stages, but needs a big result. And Dave Meyerink is the rider with the most to lose in this final round. One of 2 riders who sat inside the qualification positions, but in peril. 5 points, 2 non-scoring rides in succession. Harris has now moved above him in the overall standings here today. Lining up then for this one, heat number 14. Smolinski off 1, Dina off 2, Hall off 3, Stickauer off 4, and Meyerink off the outside. Harris and Meyerink, the last of the qualification positions occupied by them coming into this one. Will the Dutchman remain ahead of Dina? He has made a good start off 5. Smolinski, of course, has made a better one off the inside gate. Meyerink is swallowed up by the pack as they go into the first turn, and the Dutchman's gone to the back. And this race could spell the end of the meeting for the Dutch wildcard, Dave Meyerink. He needs to score something here. Battling on the tail of Richard Hall. Hall has gone to the inside, having done so well on the outside last time out, but he used it to good effect. Gets across the front of Berndina. Dina, if he only scores a point here, will move on to 5, the same as Meyerink. But Meyerink has a 3-point score from earlier in the meeting, and there he goes, trying to challenge on the inside line, but he can't get there for the moment. Hall, meanwhile, is off in pursuit of Hinek Stickauer, who's had a quiet race, but has found his way into a great point-scoring position. 3 race points here would move him above Meyerink as well. Hall ducks back to the inside. Stickauer will move into a qualification position if he stays where he is. And this is a big ride from Hinek Stickauer, who I must admit, on the evidence of his last couple of rides, was as far away from qualification thoughts as you like, but might be about to spring a surprise here. Hall goes diving down the inside. This could affect the Czech's hopes of progression. Hall makes the move, and Stickauer didn't put up much of a resistance, and Stickauer appears to be slowing. I think Stickauer has a mechanical problem here. He's going to hold the inside line around the final 2 turns, but he may well lose a point here to Berndina. Here comes Berndina off the final turn. Drag race down to the line. Stickauer has the position, but it's Berndina who comes through. And in the cruelest of fashions for Hinek Stickauer, in the closing stages, he loses what looked set to be a qualification position as first Richard Hall and then his direct rival Berndina come through for extra points in the closing stages. Has Berndina saved his meeting with that ride? Still 1 race to come, of course, before we can settle the semi-finalists, but what is for sure is that Dave Meyerink, with 3 failures to score in succession, is eliminated on 5. Martin Smolinski will be your top seed through to the semi-finals after his race victory there. Richard Hall taking the 2nd position in the end in that one, heat 14. So Martin Smolinski, undefeated from his programmed rides here today, gains back 8 points on Dimitri Berger in 5 outings, and now sits just 11 points behind as Hinek Stickauer just drops his bike in frustration. He knows that he was on the verge of a place in the semi-finals there, and the bike's let him down, and he goes from 2nd, tumbling down the order in the end. 4 points his overall meeting score then. So in the classification, that means that Berndina moves up into a qualification position directly behind Chris Harris. Harris on 7, Dina on 6, Meyerink, of course, eliminated there on 5. So it means that Jerome Lespinasse and Stefan Kat, who ride in this one, have very clear needs. Lespinasse, if he scores 3 points, will move above Berndina, and Stefan Kat needs a race victory. Otherwise, it'll be Dina who will qualify on just 6. 6 points is a very low score to qualify through to the semi-finals, and there's no way that he would be able to make it through to the grand final if he qualified through on 6, Berndina. Here we go then for Heat 15, the last of the qualification races. Jerome Lespinasse goes off the inside gate in red. An opportunity for him here to squeeze into the semi-finals, although his afternoon will go no further. Matteo Tresaria off gate 2 in the blue helmet, needing points, needing to make his way through to the final, and also needing to capitalise on Dimitri Berger's underperformance here today. Berger on just 12 compared to 20 for Martin Smolinski. How will Matteo Tresaria finish? Has an opportunity to move on to 15 and peg the championship deficit down to 7, with a semi-final and final still to come. Gate 3 in white, Josef Franz. He's been, along with Martin Smolinski, the class of the field here today. Just 1 drop point from 4 rides. Gate number 3, not a particularly strong starting position. What can the Czech do from it here? Gate 4 with Stefan Kat, 3 points from 4 rides. And as I said, he needs a victory if he wants to make it through to the semi-finals. The lineup completed by Theo Piper, already on 13, already through to the semis. But we're going to have a real close bunch towards 5th and 6th positions ahead of the grand final. And the last of the qualification races, an opportunity for Piper to get ahead. Riders off 3 and 4 completely missing the start. It's Tresaria who gets there first. Lespinasse is into second. This would be good enough for Jérôme Lespinasse if he can hold on to second place, for him to move through to the semi-finals at the expense of Bernd Diener. What will Josef Franz have to say about that? He sits P3, wide around the outside line. Lespinasse moves to block. He's left the inside run open as well. Through up the inside line comes the rider in green. Piper takes 3rd place off Franz, battles further down the inside of Lespinasse into 1 and 2. The Frenchman comes around him. Franz has really been held up over the last couple of turns. He gets his wheels in line nicely down the back straight. Piper attacks the tail of Lespinasse. Lespinasse has moved off the line. That's a mistake. Piper's got the run, and through comes Theo Piper for 2nd position. And this could well deny Jérôme Lespinasse a place in the semi-final stages. Lespinasse, if he picks up 2 points here, will finish on the same points total as Bernd Diener, and will finish on the same number of 3rd and 4th positions as the veteran as well. So there is a lot of work to be done on countback between Diener and Lespinasse if things stay as they are. If Franz passes Lespinasse, we don't have to get the abacus out. The Czech looking for the outside line on 1 and 2. This has been his worst performance of the day, but here he comes. Bernd Diener will have his fingers crossed that Franz can find a way through. Time is ticking though. Here goes the Czech again on 3 and 4. Lespinasse moves to block. Franz has the cutback. Drag race down to the line. Oh, that's close. And I don't want to call it before we get official confirmation. I thought Franz had it as he came out of turn 4, but I think Lespinasse surged to the line. To me, it looked like Jérôme Lespinasse got it, and that is now confirmed. Jérôme Lespinasse squeezing home, and the referee has given himself extra work because now we've got to work out which of him and Bernd Diener have made it through to the semi-final stages. Because, as I said, Jérôme Lespinasse, by scoring 2 points there, means he's got 2 sets of 2 points and 2 sets of 1 point. And Bernd Diener finished on exactly the same total. And they haven't raced one another the same number of times, i.e. they haven't raced one another once all meeting. So that is going to take some calculation. Lespinasse finishes on 6, as does Bernd Diener. The last of the qualifiers. Stefan Kat is eliminated by failing to score there. Good ride from Theo Piper, but it was only damage limitation. Piper cutting his way through on the inside. Tresaria fast from the start. He's gained back 3 points on Berger, now 7 points back. We wait for official confirmation on the last of the semi-finalists. But what is for sure is that Chris Harris marches on. We already had 8 qualifiers confirmed after the 12th completed race here today. And now we just wait on countback to separate Bernd Diener and Jérôme Lespinasse over the final qualification position.
Nummer 5 van de zijspannen, met blauw de 1, Daniel Burwick en Mark Hopkins. Dan met de rood, de 4, Barry Bennett uit van Duke. Heel goed.
Okay, so now we have the starting positions to be selected for the respective semi-finals, starting with semi-final number 1. And the first choice is with Martin Smolinski, the top scorer during the heats, with a 4-point advantage. Inside start position has picked up the largest number of points of all of the gates here today. But Smolinski is playing with us before he decides eventually to settle for the inside. He won from there last time out in heat number 14, and he hopes to do the same, no doubt, in semi-final number 1. Matteo Tresario with the second choice of starting position. He won last time out in heat number 15 off gate number 2, and that's exactly where he's gone. Gate number 2 for the reigning world champion. Smolinski versus Tresario off the inside 2 gates then for semi-final number 1. Third selection for semi-final 1, Richard Hall. 3 starting positions to choose from. He wants the wide outside and the sweep around the first 2 turns as he goes for gate number 5. Max Dilger of Germany with the 4th choice. He goes for gate number 3 in white. Start position that wasn't working very well at all early in the meeting, but the last round of heats, it picked up points in all of them. And the last rider will be Chris Harris, who, aside from moving his fellow countrymen out of the way, has to settle for gate number 4. So it's Smolinski off 1, Tresario off 2, Dilger off 3, Harris off 4, and Hall off 5 for semi-final number 1. Now we get underway with the choices for semi-final number 2. Josef Franz with a 16-point total. Beat Theo Piper on countback, so he has first choice for semi-final 2, and he goes for the inside gate in red. Second choice, Piper, as I said, beaten by Josef Franz on countback on race victories. He settles in alongside Franz off gate number 2 in blue, the Dutchman. The lone Dutchman to have made it through to the semi-final stages. James Shanes with third selection on 14 points, goes for the outside gate number 5. He's not sure which to go for, but it'll do. And that leaves us with 2 starting positions to choose from for the current championship leader, Dimitri Berger. He's got a 7-point lead, and he's gone for gate number 4 in the yellow helmet colour. Jérôme Lespinasse then will complete the lineup off gate 3. So across the start line, it'll be Josef Franz in red off gate 1, Theo Piper gate 2 in blue, Jérôme Lespinasse gate 3 in white, Dimitri Berger gate 4 in yellow, and James Shanes gate 5 in green. Continued coverage of Final 3 in the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship here in Roden. Well, we're looking forward to 2 successive rounds in the Netherlands, and the next one comes up in a month's time from Inrum. Earlier on, I took in coverage of the draw, the ballot for Final 4 in 2018. Hello and welcome to the official for Final 4 of the FIM Long Track World Championship at Inrum in the Netherlands. The 4th round, as I said, of the campaign taking place in August. This draw will be presided over by Christian Bouin, the jury president for the FIM at this 3rd final of the 2018 season. So the first rider out of the draw, who will be first in balloting order for Final 4, is Stefan Kat, the number 42, Stefan Kat. Second rider to be drawn, the number 37, Chris Harris of Great Britain. Chris Harris of Great Britain, the second rider out of the draw. Third rider in starting ballot order, the number 95, Jesse Mustonen, who of course is missing from this 3rd final through injury. Jesse Mustonen will be 3rd in that ballot. Matteo Tresario, the reigning world champion, the number 1, is the 4th out of this draw for the 4th final of 2018. And 5th selection is the 444, Josef Franz. Josef Franz of the Czech Republic. So 5 riders of 5 different nationalities out of the draw so far, as we see the wild card drawn for the 6th position in the ballot, the number 15. Theo Piper of the Netherlands is the 7th rider in that starting draw, the number 115, so 2 Dutch riders in succession there. Berndina, the veteran, will be 8th position in this ballot starting order. More than halfway there then for our 15 riders for the 4th final of the 2018 campaign. Richard Hall is 9th in the starting order. And Dimitri Berger, the current championship leader, will be starting in number 10 in the ballot, leaving us with only the final riders to pick out now. Michael Hertel, who of course is another of those riders currently out injured, he's 11th in this ballot. Christian continues through. and it's Heinek Stichauer who is the 12th rider out, the number 88 from the Czech Republic, leaving us with 3 riders to draw. Jérôme Lespinasse of France, the number 86. The final 2 riders to be drawn out. James Shanes, the number 93. And, well, if we'd done our maths as we were going along, we'd know who'd be the last rider out. It's Martin Smolinski, the number 84 of Germany. So that completes our ballot for Final 4 of this 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Three races remain at Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship from Roden in the Netherlands. Well, we could well have a new championship leader after this Dutch round, with Mathieu Trésarieux now just 7 points behind Dimitri Berger. It would be a tall order for him to win the 2 remaining races and for Berger not to score. But at very least, Berger is going to be under a great deal more pressure in the final 2 rounds of the season than he has been up till now. Lining up then for semi-final number 1, and the permutations are fairly numerous. Martin Smolinski with 20 points is straight through to the grand final. Whatever he does in this one, he's been unbeaten. Chris Harris and Jérôme Lespinasse at the other end of the scale, regardless of what they do in these semi-final stages, they cannot make it through to today's grand final. And that leaves us with 7 riders in an absolute dogfight to decide the remaining 4 qualification positions to today's grand final. Semi-final number 1 then. The inside gate in red, it's Martin Smolinski. As I said, 20 points unbeaten by an opponent. He's picked the gate that he won from in Heat 14. Gate 2 in blue, Mathieu Trésarieux. He won from Gate 2 in Heat 15. He'll be optimistic of challenging here. He hasn't quite been at his best, Mathieu Trésarieux, but still among the top performers here today. Gate 3 in white, that's Max Dilger of Germany. He'll be pleased just to have made it through to this stage. He's the rider with the most work to do if he wants to make the final. He needs a lot of luck as well. He'd need a race win, and for Richard Hall and James Shanes not to score, and for results really to stack down his way for him to make it through. So nothing less than a win will do for Max Dilger. Gate number 4 in yellow, it's Chris Harris, 7 points. This is only damage limitation in the context of the championship overall, for him to try and pick up some extra points in his challenge for the top 7 spaces this year. And the outside gate in green is Richard Hall. He and James Shanes share the last of the qualification positions to the grand final at the moment, the last of the top 5 places. So he needs to try and beat Shanes' score, and watch out for Berger and Dilger as well. Harris has completely missed the start-off gate number 4. It's Mathieu Trésarieux who's away well, but watch Smolinski move him out of the way. The Frenchman tries to power around the outside of turn 2, but Smolinski gets his wheels in line. Smolinski then gets some lift, and the momentum is with Mathieu Trésarieux, who comes through to lead. Smolinski chops his nose off into 3. Trésarieux has the cut back, but Smolinski has the pace. And it's Martin Smolinski who leads them at the end of the opening lap. Separate battle going on further down the order. Hall is going backwards. He's already been passed by Dilger. Now he's under threat from Harris. Hall soaring back around the outside. Comes through once again for 4th position, relegating Harris to the back. Hall needs every possible point here in the context of qualification through to the grand final in his battle with James Shanes. He's side by side at the moment with Max Dilger, but Dilger comes back through on the inside again. I don't think this is going to be enough for Richard Hall unless he can get the 2 race points, and he'll still be relying on results going his way. Dilger is really working hard to hold him back, and Hall is going the long way round. He's just broken his nose in front into turn 3, but Dilger moves up to block him. He hasn't moved far enough though. Hall's got racing room, and Richard Hall comes through for a brilliant overtake for 3rd position. Dilger battling back on the inside once again on 1 and 2. He might take Hall by surprise. Hall must know he's there. He gets a good run off turn 2. Again, they're side by side, but Hall's broken earlier this time, and I think this is Richard Hall's 3rd position to lose. He's gone very, very wide on turn 3. He's got to be careful not to run off the circuit altogether. Dilger moves across, and Max Dilger comes through on the final turn. Great race there over 3rd position. And in the end, Richard Hall loses out. Richard Hall, who held that position, who needed to hold that position quite honestly, has lost it in the closing stages. Great race victory for Smolinski ahead of Trezarier, but far closer further back down the order as Dilger gets the better of Hall. So how does that stack down in terms of the point standings? Well, Harris was already eliminated. He finishes on 7. Fails to take advantage of his extra ride there in semi-final number 1. Single point score for Richard Hall, moves him on to 15. 1 point above James Shanes, but Shanes of course has a ride in hand, and so does Dimitri Berger. Max Dilger with his 2 points there will move on to 12, and alongside Berger, Dilger is eliminated. As I said, he had to win that race, and other results had to go his way. Smolinski and Trezarier safely through, one suspects, to the grand final. In fact, in the case of Trezarier, that is now confirmed, and Smolinski was already through anyway. So we've got our first 2 grand finalists. We had one already, Smolinski. We've got another, Trezarier. And we've got another eliminated rider in Dilger. Now we turn our attentions to semi-final number 2. As I said, we've got Smolinski leading the way on 24, Trezarier in 2nd on 18, Frantz and Piper on 16 apiece, Hall on 15 occupies the last of the qualification positions, and he can't add to his score in this one. So he's relying on Shanes and Berger not outscoring him to go through. Well, a lot riding on this one for Dimitri Berger, the championship leader. His closest rival, Mathieu Trezarier, now just 4 points behind overall, coming into semi-final number 2. Josef Frantz goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour, 16 points, a strong start to the meeting. Not a good ride last time out. Theo Piper off gate 2 in the blue helmet, tied with points, tied on points with Josef Frantz, who goes on the inside of him. Gate 3 in the white helmet colour, Jérôme Lespinasse. Nothing he can do to make the semi-finals here. He'll be pleased just to have made it this far. Had a couple of decent open meetings in recent weeks. Lespinasse raced over in the Masters of Midshire meeting in the UK grass track scene, and also in Marmande, and didn't disgrace himself in either meeting. He's just lacking that little bit extra to make it at World Championship level at the moment, Lespinasse, but scored 6 points to make it through to the semi-final stages and has an opportunity to pick up more. Already his best score of the season, of his efforts here. Semi-final number 2 then, a reminder across the start line. It's been a while since we lined them up for the first time. Josef Frantz going off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. Was 2nd in the meeting standings after heat number 12 with just 1 drop point from his first 4 rides, but struggled last time out. Has he lost the momentum at just the wrong moments? He's got the inside gate that's been working well. Gate 2 in blue, it's Theo Piper, the Dutchman, the only home hopeful left in the meeting. Jérôme Lespinasse of France off gate 3, the outsider. Dimitri Berger, his fellow countryman, the series leader. And James Shanes off the outside gate. Semi-final number 2 gets underway. Berger's made a cracker off 4. But it's the rider off the inside gate in red, Josef Frantz, who gets there first. And Berger's got to go the long way round. He's through into 2nd place, but he needs the race win. Surging through now into 3rd position, it's James Shanes. That's bad news for Richard Hall, of course. Shanes, though, gets out of control on turns 3 and 4. Berger is giving it 100%. He knows how important the race victory is. He's going right up to the outer limits of the circuit, trying to close in on Frantz. He's got his wheels in line nicely down the back straight. He's gaining, but only slightly. Frantz has controlled this meeting well. He's had a few good race victories already, and this could be win number 4 for him, but here comes Berger. France overcooked it slightly on 3 and 4. Berger with almost a speedway line there, really deep on 1. He's got his wheels in line again coming off 2. France moves to block just in time. Berger almost off the back of the bike. He's so desperately trying to get traction, so desperately trying to get this race victory. Soars around the outside on the pits turn, but France a much smoother line that time around on 3 and 4, and he's pulled clear, has Joseph France. And I think this could be game over for Dimitri Berger. France with the race victory will move through on 20. Berger with second will only score 3 and move on to 15, tied with Richard Hall. But James Shanes is third and will move on to 16. And Theo Piper collects the single point to move on to 17. And your championship leader has been eliminated here in Roden. Smolinski, France, Tresaurier, Piper and Shanes will be your finalists. Subject always to official confirmation. These calculations done up in our commentary position as we go along through the meeting here today. But by my reckoning, Joseph France with the race victory, well, he had already done the job to move through. Dimitri Berger needed the race victory because he needed to get ahead of Richard Hall. So he needed the 4 race points because Hall would have beaten him on countback anyway. And that was all rendered somewhat unimportant by the fact that James Shanes picked up the 2 race points, moved above Hall and stayed above Berger, with Berger failing to take the checkered flag there. So as I said, awaiting official confirmation, but by my reckoning it's Smolinski, France, Tresaurier, Piper and Shanes in that order. And I've just had a nod from to the right of me that confirms that those indeed will be the 5 grand finalists. Good action there and a lot of tension because the championship leader needed the race victory to move through and couldn't get it. Joseph France off the inside gate. Berger made a super start off 4. There it is again. But he couldn't get across the front of Joseph France, who by the first turn had managed to stake his claim on the inside line. 2 riders trying to cut back to the inside line on the first 2 turns. It didn't work for Lespinasse. And Lespinasse failing to score despite making the semi-final stages, misses his opportunity for a big points haul there. Smolinski unbeaten, France his rival throughout. Tresaurier gaining ground on his fellow countryman Dimitri Berger. Berger's 3 race points there move him on to 63 now in the series standings overall. He's got a 7-point lead over Mathieu Tresaurier, but he might well be more worried about Martin Smolinski, who moves on to 53. And I tell you what, Joseph France isn't too far behind either. With the 4 race points there, he moves on to 50 points. For the record, James Shanes is the next rider down in the current classifications, and he is on 45. So just to confirm what I've just said, Dimitri Berger 63, Mathieu Tresaurier 56, Martin Smolinski 53, France, Joseph France 50, and James Shanes 45. All of these unofficial classifications, I would like to stress, subject to official confirmation from the FIM at the end of the meeting. Those are the current standings here today, and that shows our top 5 who'll be moving through to the final. Martin Smolinski, meeting's top scorer on 24, Joseph France on 20, Mathieu Tresaurier on 18, Theo Piper 17, James Shanes 16, and then the eliminated riders in the semi-final stage, Richard Hall and Dimitri Berger on 15 apiece. Max Dilger, who eventually goes home on 12, his best performance of the season so far in his 2nd ride of the campaign. Chris Harris making the semi-final stages but going no further, a single race victory to his name. And Jerome Lespinasse, the last of the qualifiers through to the semi-final. He and Harris couldn't make it through to the final regardless of what they were going to do there, and neither of them managed to pick up any points in that one, semi-final number 2. So our championship leader heading into Inrum for final 4 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship will be Dimitri Berger. He's 7 points clear, and even if Mathieu Tresaurier were to win, the best he could hope for would be to narrow that gap down to 3 points. Smolinski will be gunning for 2nd in the world. He could take that position with a victory and the right result from Mathieu Tresaurier when we come to the final. But the focus for the moment will be on glory here in Roden for final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. As you can see, selections for starting positions are underway. Martin Smolinski with first gate choice, no great surprises, has gone for the inside. Josef Franz alongside him has gone for gate 2. Mathieu Tresaria, gate 4. That's a bit of a surprise. Mathieu Tresaria going for gate 4. Theo Piper will be next. There he is, just coming into the corner of your shot, with white or green to choose from. And I don't think he was probably expecting to have that as an option, but that's what he's got. And that leaves James Shanes without a choice, of course, as the lowest scorer coming into that one. He's got to go off gate number 3. Max Dilger did okay from gate 3 in semi-final number 1, so there might be some cause for optimism ahead of the grand final. Confirmation then, there it is on your screen. The final lineup, the third final of 2018. Martin Smolinski off the inside gate in red, Josef Franz off gate 2 in blue, James Shanes off gate 3 in white, Mathieu Tresaria gate 4 in yellow, and Theo Piper gate 5 in green. Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship here in Roden. And it's time for the final 5 to duke it out over the podium positions. Martin Smolinski, the clear favourite coming into this one, has been unbeaten here. And after successfully completing 6 rides to make it through to the final unbeaten, and having got unbeaten here last season in the World Team Championship, he's got his first gate choice, and he's gone for gate 1 in red. 3 rides off the inside gate in a row coming into this grand final. Martin Smolinski then, off gate number 1 in red. The second highest scorer, Josef Franz, has gone for gate 2 in blue. Lines up directly alongside Smolinski. His only hope can be to out-trap him and get across the front of him, because Smolinski, once he's hit the front, has been untouchable. Gate 3 in white, it's James Shanes of Great Britain, yet to win a race here today. Well, this would be the time to pull one out of the bag. Mathieu Tresaria goes off gate 4, the reigning champion. Well, he's pegged back points on Dimitri Berger without exactly being prolific. He's 7 behind in the championship overall now. Could make further inroads in this one. And Theo Piper goes off the outside gate in green. A little bit of nervousness ahead of this one. Smolinski and Piper both turning away from the tapes. Piper didn't look too good in semi-final number 2, to be honest. That was his lowest score of the day, his worst performance. And he'll be hoping to fight back in this one. He said to us at the top of the meeting that his aim was to get into the top 3 here today, to be on the podium, and to try and keep that going for the remainder of the season. 2 rounds in succession taking place in the Netherlands. Final 3 then of this 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. Smolinski unbeaten off 1, Franz off gate 2 in blue, James Shanes gate 3 in white, Mathieu Tresaria in yellow, and Theo Piper in green. Tresaria with a wonderful start off gate number 4. Smolinski's made a good one as well. They're charging for the inside on Smolinski to see if they can force a way through. Franz in particular has made good progress off turn number 2, but Tresaria comes through for second place, and Smolinski has already broken clear. It's Smolinski, the German, in front. Mathieu Tresaria in second place, cutting back to the inside line and trying to find a way past him now. It's Josef Franz looking over his right shoulder as he tries to make a decision on which way to go. He moves outside on 1. He makes himself vulnerable to Theo Piper trying to come through for a podium place. Smolinski all the while pulling clear. I couldn't see anyone catching him coming into this race, and now that he's hit the front, that looks even more unlikely. Mathieu Tresaria, though, has got his work cut out to hold on ahead of Josef Franz. Tresaria, if he scores 3 points here, will move on to 59 championship points and will be just 4 points behind Berger with 2 rounds remaining. The defence of Tresaria's title that looked so difficult after the opening round in Herxheim has come back to him. Here, though, comes Josef Franz. He's got a much better run on turns 3 and 4. Tresaria was all locked up and sideways coming around the top bend, and Franz has got an opportunity in the closing stages here. Piper slipping back from the top 3, and James Shanes was never really in contention. The fight has been over 2nd and 3rd positions throughout, but the checkered flag is readied and steadied for Martin Smolinski. 2 years unbeaten here in Roden, and it's Smolinski who reignites his championship charge in the Netherlands. Super performance from Martin Smolinski, the ultimate professional here today. so fast from the start and just pulling away in each of his rides. The winner of Final 3, his second meeting victory of the 2018 campaign. Smolinski salutes the crowd on the back straight as he takes the win here in Roden. Smolinski the winner, ahead of Matteo Tresaria in second. Third place going the way of Josef Franz. And to be honest, Tresaria probably saved his best performance of the day for that final race as he held back Josef Franz, who'd been a form-man throughout. Franz only able to add 2 points there, moves on to 52 in the series standing. Smolinski adds 4 to move on to 57. Tresaria with the 3 points moves on to 59. All of that subject to official confirmation, but by my reckoning we now have 11 points separating the top 4 in the world as we head to Inrum next time out. And if it provides as much entertainment as the first of our 2 rounds in the Netherlands, that too should be a cracker. Reminder of the result then, our 3 podium finishers: Josef Franz in 3rd position, Matteo Tresaria in 2nd, and Martin Smolinski, your meeting winner.
So France in 3rd place.
Martin Smolinski then makes his way back to the pits for celebrations with his team. Smolinski, who had a 19-point championship deficit to make up, has narrowed that down to just 6 points. Smolinski making up 6 points on his nearest rival here today, Josef Franz. And Franz now 5 points back from him in the series standing. Smolinski didn't quite make the jump to 2nd overall that he was hoping to do, ahead of Matteo Tresaria, but it really is all in the mix with 2 rounds still to come. Berger 63, Tresaria 59, Smolinski 57 and Franz 52. And it has really tightened up here in Roden. Things had started to spread out, to be honest, after round 2 in La Réole. But here in the Netherlands, the World Championship has been reignited. More reaction to come, as well as the podium next.
Guys, down, please come to the track for your A final.
France, I spoke to you earlier on today, said you liked this track, you felt on form, and you showed it out there today. Really good performance, particularly your first 4 rides in the heat stages.
Yeah, you know, it was the new day, new racing, and I like this track, and the result tell us, you know, I can do it, and I'm happy, you know, always can be a little bit better, but I'm happy for the third place today.
Waiting for official confirmation and so on, but to me it looks as though you're only 11 points now from the lead of the championship. That was the target, to make up some ground on the points leader overall.
Of course, you know, I think all riders racing today, you know, want to be world champions, so I would like to be one of them, and you know, I don't know actually the score, you know, actual, but you know, I'm happy to get the closer and closer.
Good race there in the final, trying to make that extra position. You tried the inside, then you tried trying to sweep out and gain ground, but Mathieu rode a good race to hold on to second place.
Yeah, the red gate was the best one today, you know, so all the rest of them, the choosing the gates was the betting, so I was betting to go for blue one and was a little bit unlucky, but that's the sport, you know, and I'm happy for the third place, and thank you to the guys.
Congratulations on making it back to the podium.
Okay, thank you.
Josef Franz there taking third position in the end, and also moving just 11 points now from Dimitri Berger at the top of the championship standings. And now we're joined by Mathieu Tresaria. A good day for you today. I think it was steady and consistent, but with Dimitri having some problems and not making the final, you've made some big points today.
Yeah, I do my best, you know, like all the time, and we must concentrate on the start because track was not easy already. It was really tough to ride. Very patchy, you know, some place very sick, big hole with a grip. So if you make starts, it's more simple to get a good line. So that was my goal from the beginning of the meeting, to make a good start. I had 3 and 4 on the first 2 races, and was not the best one, you know. But I do my best, and I just make a shit start and get 5. I make a no good one already, and that was not so good. But at the end, I'm second, and I'm very happy.
And second in the championship as well, of course, as I said, closing down a little bit. I would say that you're still not quite at your best form as well, so more to come from you maybe.
It's my best form, you know. No, I just, you know, everybody is good, you know. As you can see, it's 4 rider in the front. We are very close. It's all a good rider. Yeah, I have some problem on my arms from 2 weeks ago, but because I have a crash in motocross, so that no help really. But I will fix it, and then I will be more ready for the next one.
I think in a way I was a bit surprised to see you choose gate number 4. I thought you might go for the outside and try to sweep all the way around, but gate 4 worked quite well for you in the final, and that was a good second place because Josef Franz had been doing well all meeting.
Yeah, you know, you have a good starter in the gate 1 and 2. Was a good start. So if I go to gate 3, I will be behind these guys. If I go in the gate 5, last time I make shit start. So I chose the gate 4 automatically. And I find a very good grip, you know, on the line. I find a good one, and I think I was first from the start, but just after I get the water before the corner, and I lost all my speed. And the rider from the inside come back for the first corner and pass me. But I do my best, and I'm second from the gate 4, so it's good.
Well done.
Thank you.
And now we're going to be joined by Martin Smolinski, as he just shakes hands with Mathieu Tresaria. Good battle throughout the day here today, but most of the battles, Martin, were behind you because you were making some great starts, a very professional performance with 7 rides and 7 wins.
I mean, I told beginning of the year what I want to do, but even I had a big trouble at Hexham with 2 breakdowns. I had a very heavy crash at Lariol. It didn't really went so well. But I mean, it's racing, it's speed. What I told you before, you know, everything is possible. And my goal was today to come here and, you know, make 28 points, you know. And this is what I promised my boys, you know, because I made some, you know, mistakes the last weeks, but we worked very hard, even mental things, you know, just to be focused, you know, even on the starts. I mean, out of 7 gates, I make 6 today, you know, and even if I didn't make down the gate, I had some good passings. I had a very nice heat with Theo Piper, I must say, big thanks to him, because I was coming with a high speed, and he was like, he knows, you know, he could even, on speed, I would say the guys, they fall over, you know, they're like football players sometimes, you know, but I must say, he's a real man. It was nice racing, and good, I mean, communication, good cooperation was even with the team, with, you know, with the FIM, I think it was quite good, you know, so I really liked it here. Track is quite nice, and in this, you know, looking forward to the next round. We goes now to Endrum, you know, it's like again in Holland, you know, never been on this track, but I mean, look, when I look about the points, it's not too bad. I'm 7 points or 8 points behind. No, I'm 7 behind. I mean, everything is possible. If I look back now, what you know, I got a crash, I have 2. I lost 8 points at Hexham, you know, but I mean, at the end, we will see what's happening. Would be nice to have a final heat decider at Mühldorf.
Looking down at my notes, it's actually 6 points, so even better. When you came into the meeting 19 points back, did you imagine that you would be able to make so many points today?
Everything is possible. I mean, we're here for racing speedway, and I mean, it's all the way how to work under pressure. I mean, that's just what I like, to work under pressure, and it's working good, you know. And I must say, big thank you very much to my engine tuner. I mean, Mr. Manfred Kapper, we're working very good together, even to my team, the factory Java engines, and I mean, they quick, you know. And even my brain is good again today, you know. I had a good reaction from the start, you know, and I feel a little bit pain now, you know, in the chest, because the doctor normally says 4 weeks rest, you know, but, you know, we're here to race, and I really enjoyed it today, and thank you very much to everyone, and big thank you very much to my sponsors, you know. I can't say nothing, you know. Without sponsors, I wouldn't be here, so big thank you very much to all the boys who support me.
Well, you've still got a meeting to come in Germany, and I'm sure that's going to be a big day for you. I suppose coming back from 19 points down, it means that you've not really got any room for error. You had a couple of mechanical failures at the first round, obviously the crash at round 2. There's no room for any more errors, are there, this season?
No, I think what say now we need to make the same result the next 2 meetings, and be back in the game.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Many congratulations. Rejoining us then for post-meeting reaction here. Final 3 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship in Roden. The first of 2 trips to the Netherlands in succession. And this one has been a treat. I tell you what, the first 3 races of the day set the tone for an entertaining meeting. But in the end, Martin Smolinski was so untouchable from the starts that it was a slight anticlimax once he hit the front. He was away and gone. Good battle behind him, though, over second position. And thankfully for the neutrals, Smolinski has ground to make up after final number 2, because otherwise he'd be pulling away at the top of the World Championship. He was superb at the opening round, Smolinski. And he was superb here at round number 3. 2 wins in the opening 3 rounds of this 2018 campaign. He'll be joined on the podium by the other 2018 winner, Mathieu Trésarieux, and the rider who'll be licking his wounds after this meeting will be Dimitri Berger. He failed to make it through to the grand final, and honestly, it was drop points during the heat stages. You look back to heat number 6, when he was beaten by James Shanes and Max Dilger there, and that was a costly single-point score, because that left him up against it already. He was one of the lower qualifiers through to the semi-final stages. A solid, if unspectacular, 12. But he didn't manage any more race wins after victory in heat number 3. Victory in heat 3 was done by such a commanding margin, with a 101-second race victory time, that you thought it's going to be another day of Dimitri Berger dominance, but it wasn't. And ahead of today's meeting, we were talking about the fact that it was going to be hard for Smolinski to make back 19 points. 19 points against a rider who's been almost untouchable of late, who won the European Grass Track Championship, who won his latest open meeting at Marmande on Friday night, who'd topped 20 points in each of the opening 2 finals of 2018. But Berger showed nothing of that form here today, other than that opening ride victory from gate number 1. We had the starting tapes issues that shook things up a little bit, and riders who were off the outside gates after Heat 5 certainly had a disadvantage. That helped Smolinski somewhat, because he already had 2 wins in the bag and then went on to the easier start positions. But even off gate number 3, and even as Smolinski said when he was beaten out of the start, he was able to work his way back through to the front. That was quite a spectacular overtake on Theo Piper, and that'll be one that'll be remembered at the end of today as the fans start to make their way towards the various exits here in Roden. we do still have the podium presentation, and it'll be an opportunity for Martin Smolinski to celebrate with his fans. First to be introduced or reintroduced to the crowd with third position here today. Stepping up onto the podium from the Czech Republic, it's Josef Franz. Josef Franz then making his 6th career podium. Mathieu Tresaria taking 2nd position, takes his 17th career podium. Excellent performance and accolade from Mathieu Tresaria. But it's Martin Smolinski who takes the meeting win. He was the favourite for the win. His 5th Grand Prix victory, Martin Smolinski, his 9th career podium. Smolinski, 2 of those victories taken this season, of course. He's only had a small long track World Championship career. Has raced regularly on the long tracks in Germany, of course, where much has been made of his career choices to predominantly focus on his German commitments and his international commitments at World Championship and European Championship level, as opposed to the domestic scene and league racing. But Martin Smolinski has certainly made that pay, as he now closes in towards the top of the World Championship standings. Just to recap before we drop off the airwaves, a reminder of the meeting results here today. Martin Smolinski, your meeting winner ahead of Mathieu Tresaria and Josef Franz. Those are the 3 riders who've made it onto the podium here today. And in terms of the championship standings, James Shane's in 5th position on 45, but the top 4 have certainly closed up here today. Dimitri Berger had a 10-point lead just over Mathieu Tresaria. Well, that's been cut to 4, and Smolinski, who was 19 back, is now just 6 points back, as we said in that interview, with Josef Franz 5 points further in arrears in 4th position. The top 3 are covered by just 6 points then, heading into Inrum next time out for Final 4 of the 2018 FIM Long Track World Championship. It's game on as we reach the mid-season stage in the Long Track World Championship.